Ladies and gentlemen.
So are you, bro?
I played some golf yesterday. Not very well,
Oh yeah,
but
I
I
ju-
played.
I actually just saw some. There we go. Legs out. I
Little quad stomp. Yep.
didn't realize it looks cool to play golf buff. I guess it depends what you wear.
Well, it's surprising I can actually still. I mean, I don't have a great swing, but I played when I was a kid, and I kind of still have that same form. Even though shit gets in the way when you kind of like come across your body, but
Hmm. Hey.
yeah, man, it's fun. All my friends got way too fucking plastered. I think they.
Hmm.
I was playing with. We were in a foursome. I think they
Hmm.
probably had like 40 beers between the three of them. Uh,
Yeah.
it was, yeah. I mean, that's why people play golf, though, right? So they
To
can
drink.
they can drink. Yeah,
How about you? How many beers do you had, Stu?
I had one fireball shooter. I had those at the end of the front nine. So
Hmm.
yeah, I haven't had fireball since I was in college, man. I like that shit. I like it a lot. I must
It got
confess.
it got a kick to it.
Yeah.
No spicy. Yeah. When was the last time you played golf before this?
Shit. I went to the driving range like a year ago. Um, we hit a couple balls to the driving range before
Oh
we went
shit.
out, and we just did 18 holes. One
Mm-hmm.
one of the guys we'd never played, like he'd never played before,
Hold on, I can't hear
ever.
you guys. Uh,
There you go.
Earth to chase.
We can hear you loud and clear. He got a nice little setup. Got some
Yeah,
blue and
can't
orange
hear you.
hue going on.
mood lighting.
Yeah, you got the
There we
the
go.
mic. The mic sounds clear.
Oh, good. I hear you now. What's up,
There you
dude?
go. You got a nice setup going on there, Chase.
Uh, I've been doing it for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. How long have you been doing it?
I mean, live streaming, doing this kind of thing. It's been what, 4 years, 4 or 5 years, like
Wait,
this,
like when did you start your YouTube?
like 8 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Well, are you familiar with Stu over
Yeah, I've chatted with Stu a little bit. What's up, man?
Howdy.
I've
here?
I've I was supposed to have Stu on my channel, but I'm so bad at like figuring out when I'm gonna do my live stream and like scheduling shit.
You think you're bad? Dude, Beatty just rolled out of bed.
Oh
So
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Having a bagel with Nutella on it instead of my cream and rice.
that's pretty good though.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. To be honest, most of the time I don't know who's on. I don't know who wants to be on. I wake up, roll out of bed, and then set up a bunch of links, and
Yeah.
then I get lucky sometimes. Sometimes not so lucky.
Nice.
But
Just
I
see
think I
who
think
gets on and we roll with it.
yeah, I think people like that shit, which is like for me. I think I'm being a bad host, but it seems like being a bad host is what what people like.
It keeps it
People,
random.
yeah,
There's so
keep the
much
shit exciting.
polished, like good quality content out there. The people yearn for garbage, and we deliver.
They want the raw shit.
You know what's funny? Hunter Labrada, for the last fucking, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe longer, 5 years, has been posting these perfectly edited, great videos and educational, and I could never watch it, with all due respect. And then now he's posting these like random vlogs and then the camera
Yeah.
shaking and shit, and and I'm like, yo, I fucking love it.
I got, I, yeah, I got sick of watching guys like putting way too much effort into their
Mhm.
like hiring a cameraman and like doing all the sick angles and stuff, like trying to make a movie and just
Mhm.
kind of like, I don't know,
Yeah,
just show me what's going on.
you know what it feels like? I feel like I'm finally getting to see Hunter.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is Hunter. Like this is how he actually is, and it is better. It makes it more fun to watch than watching this really. It looks almost rehearsed video with the.
Yeah.
I don't think most of us really give a fuck about all that shit. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Like when people got like a script and stuff, like just get on and start talking. See what happens and let it run.
When Stu makes videos like once a year, it's actually nice though because he just films it and he did like voiceovers and stuff. I'm like,
yeah,
it's actually kind of cool. Yeah, I have no issue with that. You know,
Are you telling me I should start making videos again?
I think so.
Yeah, you're right. I know. Fucking film around a golf. How about that? That would be funny.
Man, fucking swinging a golf club, that's hard.
Yeah.
Like I get such like a chest pump, like trying to get like this.
My pecs hurt so bad at the end of the day yesterday.
Yeah, whenever we go to like Top Golf once a year, like my chest is so sore the next day.
Yeah. I don't think I could swing a golf club at all.
Yeah,
dude,
it's awkward at first, but
if you didn't grow up doing it, it's gonna be tough. Yeah. It's like learning a language. Like so you just need to know how to move your body through it. If you're trying to pick up at 30, I mean, I've seen people try. It's ugly.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's like I could still like shoot a basketball. I could still grab rim. But if I told you, hey, Stu, let's go play ball, you're gonna be like, no, bro. Like, no. But Chase, how you doing, Chase?
I'm good, man. Good.
How's the blood pressure?
It's always good. Always on top of it.
Dude, you fucking flex your low blood pressure on us like God.
Well, I mean,
feel bad.
So something I think about is like, I wonder if negating all of these side effects, negating the higher blood pressure, how much does that hold back gains? Like, maybe there's something to having higher blood pressure, pumping more blood through your muscles and getting better pumps with that, you know?
I know powerlifters, they get like weird when you try and give them like telmisartan or anything to lower their blood pressure because like that actually will make you weaker in that situation. It'll also make you live less long.
Right.
So it's definitely a trade-off. I think having higher blood pressure, you're definitely stronger.
Yeah.
You definitely get better pumps. That's why I'm getting this head pump. Look at my head pump.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. But
man, I haven't had that in a while.
But also, I'm strong as fuck right now because I just got on Anadrol. So I got horns now. I'm strong as fuck. But like how much do you want to trade? It's like how far are you willing to give to be healthy? And there has to be a balance. I guess if you're like a high level competitor, if you're at the Olympia level, I think for those 5 years you kind of just go fuck it.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, I don't understand where's the line? Like how far can you let it go?
What would high blood pressure actually do to help you? I mean, besides like max effort lifts, how would that actually help, Chase?
I mean, my thought is like you would get way better pumps and more blood in the muscle, and it helps stretch everything out more and volumize everything more. Is my thought, but I don't really know. It was just something somebody brought up on one of my other videos. It was like, do you think that this might be limiting people? Because part of like why I like to do what I'm doing is to like maybe help some like professional bodybuilders or other guys that are struggling with their blood pressure, but it's like if you did help them with that and they did get it low, would that limit their progress in a sense? But I don't really know. I don't know. I mean, it'll help them live longer, but will it mess them up a little bit in their body?
Just because you have lower blood pressure doesn't necessarily mean you have like less blood flow, right? So a pump is indicative of good blood flow, right? Bringing nutrients in there, that's why we like it. But a side effect of that is kind of the high blood pressure. I don't know if the blood pressure means you're getting more blood flow because, like, I mean, you can take a vasodilator, right, and that's gonna increase blood flow, but in turn decrease your
That's a
blood
good point,
pressure,
too.
right? So
Yeah,
the goal
like
should be blood
Cialis.
flow. Yeah. So,
That's a good point.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, technically you're right, but I got to be honest. When my blood pressure is higher, I definitely get better pumps, man. I definitely know the better pump, but I don't think one thing is what they say correlation and causation, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Because if I take a Cialis, I get the best pumps ever, but my blood pressure actually drops. So
That's
I don't
true.
know, man.
True.
And if you take a baby aspirin, does that lower your blood pressure, or it just thins your blood? Is it difference?
It thins your blood, which in turn makes it easier to pump, which is
Mhm.
going to lower your blood pressure, but also would help with flow. So I don't see any downside to
That's a good
that,
point. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Okay, so let's say high blood pressure does make you stronger and does give you better pumps, but does that lead to long term gains though? Do pumps? Okay, we all like to get a good pump because it feels good and you know that you're targeting the right muscle. But do pumps actually lead to more muscle?
If they're complementary to sufficient loading, I think so. But
I, th- I think it can like help make more room, like stretching out the fascia and stuff. I think that's part of it. But
The way I look at it is if I'm standing there on my phone, right? And I'm sure Stu can relate. If you're on your phone like this, you get the craziest bicep pump all time. Does that mean talk on the phone, you're gonna have Phil Heath arms? I don't think so. You know? So
it's
same way,
switching back and forth, like fuck, this hurts.
yeah. Same way, I don't know. If I'm off season and I do a recumbent bike, my adductors get really pumped. Does that mean I'm gonna all of a sudden have, Derek Lunsford adductors because they're pumped? So my thing is that I feel like
good
if you
point.
train with a heavy enough load in the bodybuilding rep ranges, you get a pump just as a side effect. But then people take that pump and they think because they got the pump, once again, correlation. Oh, I got a pump. That must be why I'm getting muscle. And I don't think the pump actually has any. I mean,
Do with power lifters with their low reps, do they get much of a pump? I don't even know.
I
yeah,
don't.
I don't think they do yet. A power lifter just won the USA's. So
Yeah.
they're building muscle.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I mean, when I see Larry walking around, his back, even before he started dabbling with bodybuilding, his back was always fucking. And so they're building muscle with no pump. He's doing
Good point.
triples at most. So I don't
Yeah.
know, man. I don't know. How good of a pump did Dorian get versus somebody like who's Milos? Well, Dorian is a lot bigger than Milos, and Milos is all about pump.
That's a good point.
So
Yeah, I
I
think if the pharmaceuticals and the food and the load is there in your training, you're checking most of the boxes. And I think you talk about like volumizing a muscle. Personally, I train with pretty low volume. I don't know about you guys, but like I train and I've always gotten good pumps, presuming I'm not fucking at the end of a prep or something, right? So if you're again training at a bodybuilding rep range, right? So like 6 to 12, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
If you do a set to failure, like you're going to get a pump, right? I mean, it's not the goal, but it is a side effect of what you're doing. Um, and even like I still feel like I have good workouts sometimes when I'm at the dog end of prep and I am pretty flat, right? But if I'm still moving decent load and I have like feel in the muscle and connection, like you can't tell me that wasn't a good training session. I just know it's a side effect of what I'm doing with my body otherwise, right?
Yeah.
How old are you again, Stu? 27?
27, yeah.
But let's say when I was in my early 20s, I I don't think I would have been able to. My volume has gotten less basically every year since I started. Right
hmm
now, I could do 4 exercises, one top set, so literally 4 working sets, and I could be pumped to the max and be like sore and tired and fatigued. If I would have did that at 22, that would have been like a warm up. I would have been like, "There's no way I'm doing force." Like I literally would see Dorian. I'm like, I think he's lying. Nobody could do one working set, 4 exercises and grow. I mean, like when I would try it, I would feel like I just warmed up and left. But the bigger and stronger you get, and even if your form visually looks the same, like, oh, his form looks decent, you can connect more, right? So it's
The
like,
connection thing. Yeah. It's like
yeah,
if you can really get into a muscle and like know when you're hitting failure, right?
uh,
And not form failure, like actually like you can't fucking move it anymore. And
yeah,
that's a learned skill that a lot of people never learn or are incapable of learning because they can't push themselves quite that far.
100%.
Um, that's that's why you're able to get more out of less work, which is another reason why, I'm not a huge fan of like the RP, like Dr. Mike's training philosophy, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it works for like beginners and some intermediate people who haven't learned how to train a muscle correctly yet. Now, that's
Mm-hmm.
not us, right? We've been doing
Mm-hmm.
this for long enough. We understand how to connect with shit. So I think there's a better way to do it at our
Mm-hmm.
level or where we're at training wise. But um,
Yeah.
you can't, when you're, kind of unable to do all that shit, beginner and intermediate level, increasing volume is kind of the only tool that you have until you learn that shit.
Mhm.
So
So yeah, that's why if I have a younger guy and he's doing 20 working sets, as long as he looks like he's trying to pretty intense, I don't like to change it. But if I have a client who's been doing it for a while and is a really big guy and he's doing 20 sets, I'm like, you're bullshitting. As big and strong as you are, you shouldn't be able to do 20 working sets. Like, what the
yeah,
fuck have you been doing? And usually when I tell them that and they start training heavier, they can't do 20 working sets. How the fuck, bro? I've seen Stu do some set up pendulum squats. You think you can do that shit four times, bro?
That's
But
what
how,
oh
it's like you get a failure and you're dying. Like, how are you going to do that 20 times?
bro? I got to be honest. I've had leg days where my first exercise was hack squats. I did one working set, and I'm like, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna get through this workout. I'm like, I think I'm good to go home. But I'm not gonna stop at one working set, obviously. But like all jokes aside, if I would have walked out, that would have been a good leg workout. But I think there's something to be said with the more muscle you have, you can just contract so hard that you're just tired, bro. You have a hard time recovering. Like I just can't recover. I used to squat deadlift twice a week. So I'll do like Ronnie basically. The front squat day, back squat day, deadlift day, row day, the whole nine, and I would be able to recover. There's zero chance. If I do a back squat day, I can't back squat for another three weeks at this point. It's the
yeah,
recovery is not there.
getting old, dude. And it
Now,
doesn't even matter how much gear you take either, right? Like that's
mhm.
I
I was
think
just like, you got to take more gear. You'll be fine.
yeah, I
Well,
mean that's Chase's plan, right? But
No.
yeah, I mean I don't know. Beatty and I have both used pretty hefty doses,
mhm.
and like it doesn't. There's
Yeah.
just a
I
limit. I think it's more of a CNS thing. When you get off of
It-
like a pendulum squat and you're just fucking shaking,
yeah,
like
yeah.
the rest of your workout is going to be a little diminished, I think, from
Mhm.
that.
oh yeah.
Well, now in prep though, the gear helps, sure. Like
Yeah, yeah,
in prep, sometimes I gauge my whether I take more gear based off of performance. So if I'm being, let's say I work with Compton, he's pushing me really hard, and my performance is tanking. It is what it is. I mean, I have to do that to get in shape. So you can say, well, just rest more. I'm like, but if I rest, I'm going to be fat. So I can't just rest every time I'm tired. I'm going to be fat. You don't understand. So I have to do that. So for me, I'm like, I might have to take more gear. And then recovery, nah, I don't recover any faster for more gear. Me personally, honestly. But now my performance in the gym does go up a bit. So, so I'll definitely do that. Within reason. I mean, I can only take so much trend. Trend is not something I can handle really well nowadays. If I do any more than 300, which probably sounds low, I've done trend like every day. I've done like 700 a week. I just can't do that anymore. I get indigestion so bad that I can't even get through the day because I'm just burping and hiccuping and fucking. It's just so bad that I can't do it. And then the
Yeah.
sleep and it becomes too much side effects. So I can't push trend that hard. So for me, I would have to do like VAR, Winnie, push the primo, mass, shit like that, a little
I've been
higher. And
hearing
then
that. I've been hearing that
Mhm.
about trend more and more, and like even like 10 years ago, I was stupid with Trent. I could
Me too, yeah.
do a 700,000. Like it
We've
didn't
all
matter
been through that
now.
phase. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't handle it. I can't
Now,
handle it. Mhm.
like I just dropped from 300 to 100 because I was like, I felt like it was affecting my sleep. I was like sweating all the time. I was like, what the heck? Yeah. I was like, I'm barely using anything. I'm only on 300.
Hey,
What the hell?
I'm gonna have to drop it. I mean, this is a rebound, so I don't have to be on to begin with. But I
Yeah.
usually do it just the first 3 weeks to rebound. I'm on week 3 now. Well, end of week 3. I'm gonna have to drop it because I take naps all day because I can't actually sleep more than 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
And then my indigestion is so bad. I'm getting like these really bad hiccups, these chronic hiccups. Because what happens with indigestion is it starts out like you get a little chest burn, then it's like burps, then the burps turn into hiccups, then it's like chronic hiccups, then it's a fucking heart attack. That's
Yeah.
stuff. But it low key kind of feels that way.
Yeah.
Once I start getting like triple hiccups, like I'm like, that was a triple hiccup. Nah, this is when you got to cut the fucking trend.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm at the point now, like if I cut out the trend, I think I'm gonna look exactly the same, maybe a little less veiny.
Yeah.
Like at this point,
I should probably cut it out just to make sure that it is what was bugging my sleep.
Facts, yeah.
Because, yeah.
I'm surprised we talked about training so much on this episode where we usually talk about drugs more when Chase is not on. But since we're on the topic, did we catch you on a blast, a cruise? Well, your cruise is kind of like a blast, low key.
My last cruise was 1,000 tests. Yeah. And it was great. It was fucking great. You kept making great progress on it. But yeah, no, right now I'm on more than I've ever been on.
Oh wow. Okay, so
Road to 20,000.
That's right. Yeah, shooting for it. Yeah.
Before we get into that, right? I'm trying to decide which method is better, right? I'm like, okay, when I'm done with this rebound, part of me is like, I want to come completely off cold turkey, like a Milos approach, but uh, a lot shorter period of time. So if I come completely off cold turkey, I'm not going to be off fucking 8 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. Or if I stay on, what I usually do, maybe 300 for about 8 weeks. Or you can do, I don't know, 600 for 12 weeks, So I'm trying to figure out what's gonna keep the most gains and I guess give me the best cleanup, I guess, if that makes sense. And I guess you wouldn't know till you try. You got to try all of them. I've always just done the 200 or 300 for 8 weeks. So now I want to try something else, because John Regan would give you the option. Do you want to just come completely off for 4 to 6 weeks, or you want to cruise? You know what I'm saying? So, and I always just said, nah, I'd rather just cruise. So now I kind of want to try the opposite ones, maybe a higher dose for longer, or no dose at all for shorter.
Yeah,
What do you?
I've come completely off like for the 4 to 6 weeks thing, and I like the idea of it because it's just like you get a break from injections.
It's kind
You
of nice,
don't have to everything kind of like heal up in that way because I mean I so that's something side note, like I just got an MRI of like my whole body
Whoa.
and some things that lit up were my glutes. And
Okay.
you could see like, oh wow, okay, I'm gonna take a break from injecting my glutes because they look like they are getting tore up. So,
Holy shit!
but like you can see it on there, so it's just like give it a break.
I've actually never shot gear on my glutes before.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, this year I've been mostly keeping it around like my quads, my glutes, like ventral glute, that kind of stuff. But after seeing that MRI, I'm moving it to my upper body now.
We get cagey about that because we don't want to blur any striations in our
Mhm.
glutes. Because I don't know if you have any intentions to compete, but like that's really important for what we're doing. I don't know how true that is. I'm inclined to think at this point that like I'm never gonna have those lines in my glutes, so I might as well. But like,
I had that idea for a while. Like I avoided my glutes just for that reason. But it's like at this point, am I really gonna worry about like trying to get a pro card or anything like that. I don't know.
It has to be genetic because I guess without calling any, I guess we could say the name. Like if you look at Derek Lunsford, as peeled and separated as glutes is, if you look at the
So
top,
deep.
you can look at the top of his glutes. You can see where he pinned. Right,
Right.
it's not distracting, but you can tell. There's these little. What I'm talking about. Like at the top of his glutes, you can see
Like a
it.
ridge.
Or like
Ronnie had those big horns hanging off his head.
yeah, Ronnie. But Ronnie actually, I think his glutes actually were shaped like that. But they were. He definitely was pinning his upper glutes, and it made like no difference to the separation. Whereas me and Stu have like these pristine virgin glutes, and the lines
No
are still
lines
kind
in
of
them.
like
Yeah.
no. I
Derek's
mean,
glutes are crazy, man. He's got like those. The lower half is just like deep lines. It's nuts.
it doesn't make sense, but
All year too. That's the
he's
sick
like
part.
he's like that off season, bro. That doesn't make sense. Hey, I'm actually impressed. I've never seen Samson's glutes this like lean. Actually, I don't even know if I've seen it this lean on stage. It's not obviously it's not like cross-striated, but I don't think I've ever seen his glutes this lean. So Marlenka, man, hey, stop sleeping on Marlenka. She know what she's doing. I guess she's just like, don't eat, motherfucker. How about
Stop
that?
eating. We're not gonna load you. You know.
Or stop putting all that seasoning. He put like 10 cups of seasoning on that shit. All right,
Yeah.
so Chase.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I derailed us
so
there. What we're
how
doing.
long have you been on cycle? Because when I watch some of these interviews, I don't really know the timeline. I guess. I
Yeah,
mean,
give
I
us
could look
give us
under
a cliff notes of your journey to this point, because I'm kind of hazy on it too.
Well,
Yeah, I
it's
don't
just
I don't know
like
the timeline.
yeah, like things come up and like I ended up talking about something a year ago and then I started talking about something 10 years ago and but it's like I've been on gear for like 14 years. But
I didn't know that. See, I didn't even know that.
yeah, like I've been doing it for a long time, but like pushing like I had of course at the start like in my early 20s I had a period where I was like, doing stupid things with Tren and messing around with dumb doses and getting all the side effects. And I was like, okay, well, this kind of sucks. And then there was like a solid time period where I, wasn't doing more than like a gram, maybe 1500, max with everything combined. But it wasn't until last year in February where I started playing around with these stupid high doses, So it's only been a year and a half where I've been like playing around with, 3 grams a test or whatever. Mostly in the last year and a half, the most has been 3 grams a test with something else added to it. But
Funny,
at this point, at,
it's kind of
at this
funny.
point, it's 4 grams a test and 2 grams of EQ. And things are feeling pretty good, but
That something about that timeline I can relate to it.
yeah.
Right, like Stu. Remember in the beginning when you try the stupid shit, then you go to a point that man, it's not about the drugs, and then you stay like he just said, a gram. I didn't go over a gram, but now I'm kind of like, I feel like now that I'm bigger, I'm kind of like, I
Well,
feel
it's
like a little bit more drugs can hurt. You know what
Well,
I'm
it's
saying?
interesting because like back then, I would get all the side effects. Like it was terrible. And now it's kind of like, all right, let's see, where are any side effects? And it's like, okay, well, Tren brought out that weird, the sleep thing as always, like sweating all night and whatever. But yeah, it's just like, where's like my estrogen side effects where are those at? So that's where I kind of just started bumping up the doses and seeing how things felt and seeing how I would react to stuff. But yeah, I mean at this point now, like what I'm doing now is absolutely stupid. But the thing that I'm curious about is the whole total testosterone test to see if it can get to 20,000 nanograms per deciliter or not. And that's kind of what I'm chasing at this point. So yeah, I got blood work last week on 3 grams a test, just started 4 grams a test. We'll do that for 4 weeks and then get blood work, see where the total test is, and then likely have to go to 5 grams a test and see what that looks
What
like.
did that blood work look like?
I mean, it was fine. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
I mean, like the total, well, actually, I haven't gotten the 3 gram of test, blood work back. The 2 grams of test, got that back. Everything, was great. The total testosterone on 2 grams of test was 7,000. So I'm expecting the 3 grams to be like maybe over 10. So then 4 grams, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll be like 14. I probably won't get there at 5 grams, but maybe we'll just do a couple extra shots the day before and see what happens.
Throw some prope in there, cheat a little
Throw some
bit.
throat.
Yeah.
See,
So
me,
with that 2 grams of test blood work, are you looking at like free test as well and like SHBG? Because like that has to be a huge factor in bumping up that total number, right?
It's, I mean, I do, yeah. I mean, the SHBG is always tanked, of course. It's always like less than 5, but
Is that
um,
due to anything that you're taking or?
I mean, I think it's just from being on so damn much. I
Oh,
mean,
some
okay.
people, some people think if your SHGB is high, that you can't utilize the gear and you're not going to make gains. Do you do you guys believe that? I don't. Who stops making gains? Like, imagine being on 2 grams of test and
I've
just
taught
stop making
this,
gains.
yeah, like this whole thing was like brought up a couple years ago, and I just started asking a bunch of coaches. I was like, do you guys pay attention to SHBG at all? Do you care about it at all?" And they're like, "No, it's going to be tanked. What are you talking about?" And I was like,
Yeah,
"Okay." Like I didn't find one coach that was like, "Yeah, we care about this."
Well,
Uh,
oftentimes it's tanked because of like maybe Masteron or like Proviron, right?
yeah,
That
yeah.
then you're not currently taking any of that, and
Well, I
it's
was on
still low.
EQ. I don't know if EQ plays a role in that, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't
it
know.
does, I believe.
I just think once the test dose gets high enough, it's going to tank it as well.
Huh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't. I mean,
because
I don't really know that.
because what's the alternative? Because people who believe that, what they do is instead of doing 12 to 20 week cycle, they'll do these short, I don't know, 4 to 6 week cycles, and I'm like, that's just too many hiccups and variables. Like
Yeah,
I want to keep variables very similar for a very long time and make small changes. It's like same thing with like when people really want to improve their training, they'll keep the same cycle of training so they can see how they're progressing. Whereas if it's always a random ass workout or a random ass uh I guess blood levels of tests or different drugs, you don't really it's hard to track what's going on. Every 4 weeks you're off and then on a different compound. I think
yeah.
it's very hard to track what the fuck is really going on.
Well,
You
I
know?
guess trend probably would have dropped my SHBG too. So
That's true. That's true.
yeah. I mean, I was on 300 of that, but um,
Mm.
yeah, my
Well,
SHBG. Well, it was a 6.3 on 2 grams of test with 300 trend and 700 EQ, but still, it's tanked basically.
so you don't really push the other drug. It's really the test that you push. You don't.
Yeah, I mean, that's yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And
I
that
mean,
seems to, with you at least, not. I mean, what are your like cholesterol and like kidney and all that stuff look like
well,
on your
that's
blood
just
work?
it. Is like I get the blood work to make sure that those are good because if they do go, if they start looking bad, then it's like, okay, this isn't worth it, and I'm gonna drop everything. But um, I mean, like using like for cholesterol, for example, I mean, I use rosuvastatin and ezetimibe, so it's like my LDL cholesterol on my last blood work, it wasn't even detectable. It was less than 27.
What?
And yeah, my ApoB was a 53. My HDL was a 17. Um,
Okay, so HDL, I'm curious because like I control my cholesterol with statin and ezetimibe as well.
yeah,
LDL is always good, even like after a prep, it was good this year. It was
yeah,
like 80 something. My HDL was like 17 as well, I think.
yeah.
Are you concerned at all about HDL?
I don't, I mean, I think the thing that people are more concerned about is the HDL to triglyceride ratio, and keeping that as low as possible is best. But I mean, ultimately though, like from what I've seen and heard, regardless whether your HDL is low or high, it doesn't really change whether or not you're going to die of a heart attack or a stroke.
That's what I've heard too. And I spoke to a cardiologist about this a few years ago, and I told him everything I was doing, and I got my like an
Oh,
echo done.
yeah.
My camera's out. I'm just replacing the battery. Sorry. But I was like, hey, this has always been low for me. My LDL is controlled though. Is that a problem? He was like, yeah, just control triglycerides and LDL, and you're going to be fine. Because that's what's going to lead to atherosclerosis, which is what we're worried about
Well,
preventing.
there's that, but then it's like if you also throw inflammation on top of it,
Yeah.
you know. So it's like,
So check those markers too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
When
I mean, most of us, it's like if we are, insulin sensitive, our triglycerides should be relatively, under 100, Um, I mean, I see a lot of guys where it's like under 60 or 50 or even 40. Um, but yeah, I mean, controlling those and then making sure that your inflammation markers are good, and which mostly consists of not cheating on your diet often plays a huge
Mhm.
role in that. But
I've
um,
never, I've never had to really dive deep into the cholesterol thing. My it just doesn't budge, bro. I just
yeah,
see nothing happens to my hemoglobin hematocrit doesn't budge. I don't. I literally tried donating blood before just cause, and I couldn't because it was actually low. So and that was
oh
that was on prep after a big off season, right?
yeah,
So the only thing for me, my liver enzymes are always pretty elevated since I was like the first time I remember actually knowing what blood work is, not even as a bodybuilder, just as an adult. I
yeah,
was probably like 18 and I wasn't on cycle and my ALT AST was elevated, right? So that's something that's always been elevated. It's never gonna not be elevated. On orals, off orals, on site, it's always elevated. So
yeah.
I'm not really concerned about that. My creatinine goes up a couple of points here and there, but it's always within range. And it's not just in range for black people because they have sometimes they have like African
Right.
American. It's in range for everybody. I got a white white boy fucking
White boy
white boy
creatinine.
creatinine.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
You
not something
take
I really had
you
to think about.
you take astragalus, don't you?
A
I
shit
see
ton
all
of it,
those.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
see all
he's a
those
big
posts. I'm like,
astragalus fan.
biggest astragalus fan.
Okay, so okay, that's one part I left out, I guess. I don't think about it because I don't realize other people don't do it. When it comes to health supplements, I'm a fucking nut.
Yeah,
It's everything you could think of. You
yeah.
know, there's nothing I don't take that exists. If it exists, I'm saying don't even ask me. I'll take it. Or do you take? I fucking take it, bro. You
I'm
know,
on it.
yeah. So that I don't know. I guess I can't call it genetics because I wouldn't know if it's genetics or not because
Man,
I'm kind of covered.
that astragalus fucking works. Like some at some point, like last year, I ran out and didn't think to. I think it was when because I ended last year's like cycles at the like the Olympia, and then I took like 3 months off. And I think at that point I like stopped taking my health supplements and because I just stopped injecting. And and then
Oh,
went on like a real TRT dose until this year. But I stopped taking like astragalus and I never bought any more. And I just wasn't thinking. And like throughout this first half of the year, I wasn't on it. And then I got like my blood work done at the end of like the first half of the year, and my GFR was in the 70s, and I was like, "Wait, what
Oh,
the fuck? Why is it down
what the fuck
there?"
happened?
And then I was
that's
like,
that's
"Oh
still in
shit, I haven't
range,
been taking my
luckily.
astragalus." Like threw that back in, and then it goes back up to a 90. It's like, okay, cool. But yeah, it's crazy. It's like the
Magic.
shit works, you know?
Yeah,
With
and
kidney stuff,
it's
in my opinion, like obviously control your blood pressure because fuck, we were talking about this on our last podcast. It's like fire hosing through a coffee filter with too
Mhm.
much pressure. But that's what your kidney is. It's a
Yeah,
filter, so you're gonna
yeah,
blow out your filter. So control your blood pressure first of all. But if that GFR number is good, again, creatinine is going to be high because of high protein and training.
yeah.
Um, BUN is also going to be high from that shit. So like they're not really, if they're crazy high, yeah, that's different. But like mine are sometimes in range, sometimes not. My GFR is always like 80 to 90 or something like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. My blood pressure's good.
Yeah, and as long as it's after getting multiple blood works, as long as it's stable,
Yep.
as long as it's not like fucking just dropping every single time you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys actually ever seen anybody like get in get a like really serious? Basically, have you ever seen anybody die from bad blood work?
Die.
I
Like,
mean, over a decade of it. I mean,
I
the
think the
thing is
people
like,
that die aren't getting blood work is the
exact, yeah,
problem.
exactly. Like, don't know, don't care, stick my head in the sand, and
Yeah.
that's what they did 20 years ago. That's why you
Yeah.
have a lot of dead guys now. I
that's
mean,
true.
it's true. I mean, they were probably running. That's what Nasser was doing.
Well,
Chase is doing what Nasser was doing, and he
basically.
died when he was like 43. So
The only difference, like Nasser, he didn't know what the fuck was going on. He wasn't taking he wasn't taking Topazartan and
he didn't
fucking
have perfect blood work, bro.
Well, it's
Oh,
like it's funny because like early, like again, like 10 years ago, I would be using whatever and like I didn't know I had high blood pressure. I didn't know I had any problems or anything. Like I knew when I, ate a bagel, I would get a crazy jaw pump and my face would look funny because it would just
yeah.
be so pumped. But it was just like I don't, and I went to a doctor like one time and they did I don't know even know why I went to the doctor, but they took some blood and they like checked my blood pressure. It was like fucking 180 over 100 or some crazy
that's
shit.
a high
Yeah.
score, man.
It was
Hell yeah.
Oh
crazy.
shit.
And when my blood work came back, they like called me and they were like, are you okay? Like what is and I
Yeah.
got scared to death of, whatever like I didn't even want to talk to him. Like I didn't even want to hear it. So I never went back to that place and never and I saw the results years ago in like Quest or LabCorp's,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if
history, but I
funny,
was like, holy shit.
it's funny you say that. The first time that the doctor caught me with the super high ASCLT, I walked out. I was like, I'm never going back again. They were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you got to come off the steroids." I said, "Oh,
I never went back. Oh,
conversation
I
over." I think get the fuck
remember.
out of
I remember. I went because I was trying to get I was trying to find a way to see if I could get gyno surgery paid for by insurance.
there.
And so I was talking to a doctor about that and whatever. She was like, "Well, let's take some blood work and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." And then they started coming at me with this stuff, and I was like, "Get away from me!"
Get the fuck away from me.
Yeah,
It's
crazy.
but let's say do you believe that Nasser, I guess a lot of guys, but let's say Nasser would be alive today if he was just simply, tracking his blood pressure, heart, getting blood work, taking maybe a beta blocker or ARB. I mean, just taking like the shit that we know as basic knowledge now. If he was doing, do you guys think he would still be alive?
I think he would,
I think so too.
but the question that I still have would be like, would he have been the same freak?
Hmm.
Would he have still been able to be what he was? Because I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Well,
It's
that arrogant personality he had, I don't think it would have allowed him to be like, "Oh, I should look out for my health." He's like, "No, I'm a fucking Egyptian god." Like,
Yeah, yeah. He probably wouldn't have done it anyways.
yeah.
But
There's
honestly,
there's
like,
people in the pro league right now that think like that. I don't personally know or talk to them, but like, I mean, like Steve, Vigor Steve, like he talks about like some of the folks he's talked with, professionals. I don't know who they are, but like, their blood work is horrendous, and he takes a look at it and he's like, that's what some of these guys are doing.
man,
Uh,
yeah,
it's pretty crazy like how much they don't know. Like a lot of different like really high level guys. I mean, I just had somebody send me blood work last week, and I was just kind of like, first of all. the blood work was the most basic thing I had ever seen. It was just like a CBC and a CMP, and that was pretty much it. and it was like super basic crap, but it was just like he didn't have any idea what anything meant on it, and was just like, help me figure this out. And I was like,
but you got to think about it like this. Like, why would they? Some of these guys are genetic freaks. They don't. Yeah. It doesn't even occur to them, right? So some of these guys, they woke up one day and they did a show, won overall. Oh, okay, cool. Hey, take a little bit of VAR. Okay, they win again. By the time they get to the high level, there's no knowledge there, because the knowledge comes in struggling to. So for you, the reason why you're so smart is because you were struggling to put on muscle. So you're like, I need to get smarter so I can get bigger. So you got smarter. Right.
Not so die in the process, most importantly.
Exactly. For me, I'm like, why can't I get shredded? So I'm digging deep, learning shit that somebody else doesn't have to learn, because he eats Doritos and gets shredded. So you get smarter because you're not as gifted. So these gifted people, we expect them, we think they're smart because, oh, he's the top Olympian. But a lot of times it takes no knowledge, because they literally just follow a very basic cookie cutter plan and they beat everybody. And they some of them don't even follow the fucking plan and they still beat everybody.
This makes me think of like so I love Fouad's podcast. Like, I'm a fan of him, but it's like, I remember when he first started doing it and like listening to his interviews and watching stuff, and I started to realize really quickly, I was like, he does not know how he got as big as he got. Like, he just fucking took his drugs, ate his food, and trained his ass off, and there he was, you know. Yeah.
Well, now Stu actually does have good genetics, but I don't think Stu knows he has good genetics. I think that's why he's smart, because I don't think it occurred to him, I'm actually genetically pretty good. You know,
no, it's occurred to me at this point. I mean, okay. I mean, because like, I mean, you look at over the last couple of years, right? I have met a lot of people who are doing exactly the same stuff as I am. They are just as meticulous, if not more, with their diet, training, drugs, all the things that you need to do, right? And the rate that I put on muscle and progress is just faster than most of those already pretty good competitors, right? So yeah, I'm not stupid. Like, I can see it for what it is, but going like years before that, I was like, okay, I need to pretend like I don't have any good shape or structure or genetics. Smart. I need to bodybuild like I'm
natty,
shaped like a fridge. You know, you can't get away with being soft on stage because you have good shape or good muscle bellies or whatever, right? So that's kind of the way you should approach it, in my opinion. And I've also, from the get-go, I got my blood work done the second I took my first shot of gear, and I've kept pretty good tabs on it, and I've learned from guys like you, Chase, and a lot of other people. Leo comes to mind. Leo Longevity.
I learned so much from Leo. Like, all jokes aside, I learned a lot from Leo.
Yeah, he was very knowledgeable. Like, I didn't even consider taking a statin before I'd listened to his shit. But yeah, like. Get ahead of this stuff so you can have a long career.
100%. The way Leo put it is like most people have no issue getting on like an AI, like before they don't wait until the estrogen is 500 before they hop on it, right? But anything else, people are like, no, I don't want to. Like,
it's like there's this weird distrust of like big pharma stuff or like anything prescription, even though you're literally using prescription drugs from the black market. It's so there's this weird.
So scary.
If I take that means I'm unhealthy, though.
Yeah,
bro. But honestly, when I first started hearing Leo talk about it, I'm like, Tom, what? I don't know. I don't want to take that. What the fuck is that? He's like, right, get on Ramapro. I'm like. You show me like 10 milligrams. This shit it's gonna make me small, right? It's gonna make me small. I know it's gonna make me small, bro. You're good. I'm like, this shit is gonna. I have to ask Boston. It's gonna make me small because if it's gonna make you small, Boston not gonna let you do it. You're like, nah. You'll probably get bigger because you could eat more. I'm like, okay. If Boston says it, then we good. You know,
You'll live longer and get bigger that way.
Exactly. You
Get
know, but
extra years.
it's weird. Nobody wants to protect themselves because they're scared they're gonna make less gains. But dead people don't make gains.
Yeah.
So you have to protect yourself, or it all goes to shit anyways. You know?
There's that, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that are just flat out terrified to get their blood work done because they don't want to know what it's going to look like, you know.
I still get it looks the same every time I do it, and I still get nervous. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm still kind of like, like when I got that full body MRI, I was kind of like, I was scared.
Oh, I'll be very scared.
That.
I'll be very scared.
I was scared walking into that, and I had a lot of people message me like, I would never fucking do that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But
the fear,
it's crazy. Yeah.
The fear is that one day it's just all gonna catch up to me. It's gonna be one prep. I'm gonna hey, thank you for the blood work, and I'm gonna look and fucking creatinine 6, and I'm like, oh my god, this is it. If it finally caught up to me, fuck it. I gotta move to Thailand and lose a bunch of weight and get a bald head and shit. That's my plan, by the way. I'm gonna move to Thailand and shave my head bald and start meditating and shit. If it all goes to shit, that's the backup plan, bro.
Will you still do the podcast with us?
I'll have like a big ass hoodie on. I just don't want anybody to see me for you know what I become now. But I'll have a big ass hoodie and just
just preach health.
Yeah, just talk about how
the masses.
Bodybuilding is all ego driven. You don't need the fucking trophies, bro. For politics, it's all politics. You know, it's not.
Yeah,
that or a cabin in the woods, man. Fuck.
Oh man, did we get into the Oh yeah, I think you did. You said you worked your way up to 4 grams of test now, right?
Yeah, currently I'm at 4 grams of test and 2 grams of EQ and 100 tren.
Okay. How do you feel now? How do you feel physically, performance-wise, appetite, the whole nine, versus, I don't know, what used to be a normal dose for you, versus like a gram and a half? That's pretty.
Well, I mean,
standard.
like, so I haven't noticed any difference in feeling or anything since, like, from 2 grams. So, what was it? 8 weeks ago, I was on 2 grams of test and 700 EQ and 300 tren.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't actually noticed the difference in bumping up the doses from there. So, yeah, there hasn't been any. But I also haven't noticed any negatives too. So it's kind of like I haven't really seen any. I mean, I've been dieting this whole time anyway, though. But it's like I haven't noticed any like better strength gains or.
You are dieting. That's going to change it up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I figured the best time to do this would be dieting, so that my blood
you'll be healthier
going up from just food. So
yeah, you would want to be leaner, basically.
Yeah.
So full disclosure, right? This is the most gear I've ever taken on a rebound, ever actually. Because John O'Regan, even though John O'Regan was my first coach, his doses were high, but not for the rebound. Because his rebound it was kind of like almost like a health phase and a rebound at the same time. So he would actually bring you pretty low in doses. He would go like, let's say 500 tests, 300 deca, 50 Anadrol. That would be his rebound. So it wasn't anything crazy. So this is the most I've actually taken on a rebound. I don't know if I want to say the doses. I don't think that's relevant.
Hey man, Chase showed his hand. Come on.
Hey, my next dose is going to be 5 grams of test, and I'll probably keep I'll probably drop the EQ down a little bit and just keep.
Beatty, you're not in the pro league. Don't worry about it.
That's true. I can't get okay. So the difference with me is that I don't actually notice the best results from taking high doses of one compound. Yeah. I notice the best results from doing I guess a low to moderate dose. Not low. Doing moderate to high doses, but of more of different compounds, right? Yeah. I think part of that is because I'm somebody who puts on fat easier and has a softer look naturally. So I start throwing in. Oh yeah. So I start adding in, like, if I do EQ or DECA, let's say, I don't do DECA anymore, but then I do Master on, they kind of balance each other out. So like I end up getting a harder look, right? So if I add like I like to do probe with my I like to do short and fast tests. So I'll do like a probe, kind of like a time release protein type of, like I'm doing casein and whey kind of shit. And so I like doing that. But now when I add in, I have Winstrol in there. I feel like it keeps me hard but big at the same time. It works for my body. I don't think everybody needs to do that, but it works for me. So what I'll do is usually on a rebound, I go a little lower on this. So full disclosure, usually my test dose are anywhere from a gram to a gram and a half. It just depends how I feel. Sometimes the gram does the job. Sometimes I'm like, for whatever reason, I'm looking at other competitors. I'm like, oh, fucking look, he's getting big. Let me bump this shit up. I Stu looking big today. Let me bump it up to a gram and a half. I don't know if a gram and a half I get more results, but sometimes I go a little higher. So
I can't say I've noticed a difference from 1 gram to 3 grams. To, like
you don't know.
It's all the fucking same.
But what I did is, so I'm still on the gram of the E, but then I'm also on the probe. So let's say that's about 13, right? So you got a gram of test, a gram of test E, and then you're doing every other day probe with like a gram and 1300.
Mm.
But then I'm also doing EQ. I'm also doing MPP. I'm also doing trend, which I'm probably gonna come off now. Did I say mass? Did I say mass?
Not yet.
I'm basically doing like a contest prep cycle, right? Like all the goodies in the contest prep, I basically is still in there, if that makes sense.
Sounds like a breakfast spread.
Yo, you know it's a lot. When you can't remember, when you gotta ask, did I say mass on? So basically, I'm taking to go really bro, old school bro. I'm taking the bulking stuff and the cutting stuff together. but I like entry doses, right? So yeah, the probe is at 300, the Winnie is at 50, the mass is at 300, MPP is at 300. You know, but just that combination, I'm getting so much benefits from all of them. You know, so
that's something I haven't really tried, like just grabbing a little bit of everything, and I see. I mean, there's nothing like you take the benefits of all the different options out there. I mean, the reason I'm like basically sticking to 2 things is mostly just to play it as safe as possible, in that I have a better idea of what's doing what than anything.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Mind you, I'm doing this for the rebound, but when the off season starts, I'll probably just stick to the off season compounds I like, and maybe a little bit higher than normal. You know, because first of all, it's annoying when you have like 5 different bottles that you're drawing from, and it's a bit much. But I'm getting good results from it. So, does more gear equals better results? Is a really tough question to answer, because for most people. Weird. But most people, they're not at a place where they even have the variables in check to, you know, like somebody hit me up for coaching and he's on 900 DECA. But then he sends me a picture like, oh, I'm getting bigger. And I'm looking at him like, you don't even like he works out to me. You know what I'm saying? Oof. So in my head, I don't think he has the tool. He like, but my diet and training is on point. I'm like, how long you been training? He said, I've only been training hard 16 months or something like that. I'm like, I promise you, if you've been training for 16 months, your training is not on point. Like, what the fuck? You've been training for a year and your training is on point? No, it's not. So he has no idea what he's doing training and diet-wise. So how can you really get the most out of the gear? You really don't, you know? So I think if done the right way with all the right variables, I think more gear can potentially get you more gains, but it has to be done properly, titrated properly, and things that your body agrees with. You can't have more negative effects than positive effects. It has to be the right scenario. You know, you're doing this for a different reason. You're experimenting. You're not like, I'm gonna turn into fucking Marcus Rule. Like, I mean, you know?
It would be a completely different scenario if I was eating in a surplus and trying to grow.
For sure,
like I've been, you know, dieting for the last 12 weeks, mostly just to prevent any side effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I was eating my ass off, it would be a whole different I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I would be able to take this much because like
It gets
it
difficult.
would have been a
It
mess.
gets
Yeah.
What? How so? Is it like appetite gets fucked up, or water retention, or what
Well, I
is
just
it?
think I think being in a surplus, I would have a lot more water retention, and then I would have higher blood pressure from all the food, and just being in a surplus in general typically raises blood pressure. Like
Hmm.
I think
mm,
that would start things, and that would bleed into
for
kidney
sure.
values going down and everything else. Like when you're in a surplus, your insulin sensitivity is slowly going to get worse, and
Yeah, yeah.
just things just slowly getting worse. So
Putting aside health, right? I wouldn't be able to run this cycle if I was 300 pounds in off season. I get so full, big and full, I can't function. Like if I was taking these doses at 300 pounds, like peak off season, I just don't think I can handle it. Like my hands would be, I wouldn't be able to grab the bar. You know what I'm saying? Like just small things like that. When I'm peak off season, I have to take less drugs because I just can't function on a lot of drugs. My appetite is already suffering because there's a lot of food. But I'm so I don't know how to describe it. The student knows what I'm talking about.
You're
When you're
just like
just so filled
saturated.
in,
Yeah.
yeah, you're so saturated. You're like, I can't even pin my shoulder. I go to tie my shoe, I can't tie my shoe. I sit down. I go to stand up. I'm having trouble breathing. The last thing I want to do is up the dose.
yeah.
You're not gonna want to up the dose at that point. If
I,
anything, I'm like,
I, dude, I'm
mhm,
curious though, like, because it's been a while since I've done that.
mhm,
Like, been in a huge
push.
surplus, been that heavy, and then like push my drugs higher.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't done that since like fucking ages. Like, probably 2021.
Mhm,
That's when I kind of put on the most muscle though. Between that Emerald Cup and the USA's, I put on 25 pounds that year,
Yeah.
stage weight.
mhm,
And it was really, really uncomfortable the whole time. My carbs
right.
were like 1,200 grams a day. My gear was like similar to what it is now, but
Mhm,
like I I kind of want to start pushing like that again, and
mhm,
try and control those variables like blood pressure and
As you can.
but I'm also trying to get to the Olympia, right? So if
Yeah.
I'm allowing a little room for slip. That's
Yeah.
irresponsible, but I'm going to be honest,
It is what it is.
You got to do
because
what you
like
got to do.
look at
Yeah.
what my competition's doing.
If
Uh,
I
Mhm.
mean, if I was in your position, I'd do the exact same thing.
Hey,
yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta be I gotta be honest
I'd
with you.
go for it.
I would be pushing pretty fucking hard if I was in your position. I mean, what's gonna happen? You're gonna grow. Like from what what I seen Compton do. Basically, what you did in what you said 2021.
2021. Yeah,
He did that every offseason. So like, whereas most people would be like, I think you're big enough, Compton. He would just do it again. He would run it back. So same with Joe. Why does Joe keep growing? Because they keep. Well, I think this year is the first year they're gonna actually hold him back a bit.
yeah.
But until this year, is what you did that everybody did that one big offseason. They do that like twice a year. So they just keep fucking growing. And now the uncomfortability part, like where I would say, like when I'm super saturated, I would be like, okay, I'm just gonna take a week off of GH. I'm gonna maybe pull back. Somebody like Joe, he just does it anyway, and he's so uncomfortable, and it does it anyways. But you will grow if you force it.
I've done
Now,
that in the past, man, and honestly, I've shied away from it for two reasons. Because I thought I was big enough. I was like, fuck, I'm 250 on stage. I'm 5'8". Like that's got to be enough muscle, right? It
Mhm.
hasn't been. And also like because it was uncomfortable. And I didn't want like I know what that's like. And I
To be
spent
honest,
3 or 4 years doing that consecutively and I've shied away from it because it's hard and I
like
that's that's
yeah,
that's kind of gay. Like I need to stop doing that.
people people watching though, they're the difference. Like it's not like, oh, this is hard. Like this is a different kind. This is like when you're laying down, you're nervous that something's gonna happen to you. Like that's not. So somebody watching might be like, oh, just keep pushing and keep eating. You're actually afraid, like legit afraid. Like you'll be like, okay, what the fuck? I'm actually afraid that I'm so big, so heavy right now. I'm getting nervous. Doesn't mean that you're actually in danger, which you probably kind of are, but but, even if it doesn't mean that you feel that you're in danger, so it's not like you're being a pussy. Like, oh, I don't want to. you've already pushed so hard that you're legit scared that if you push any harder, you don't know what the fuck is going to happen. So
Yeah, but
it's
if I
fair.
have another year like 21, not 25 pounds of stage weight, obviously, but like, another year of just like gassing it. Not even with the drugs, because like my drugs haven't gone up in like 3 years, basically,
Yeah.
3 or 4 years. They've been pretty steady. Um,
Mhm.
so if I bump up my doses a little bit and I actually eat like a motherfucker like I did back then,
You'll grow.
I think I'll actually make the progress that I need to. And then even if that muscle, not all of that muscle sticks around to the stage, that means I can push that much harder during a diet and lose some of the tissue I gain and get more condition, just give me more of a
Right.
cushion. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at. Like I just started, I'm like a week into a cruise now. I think I'm
You
just going to
know,
go for 4 or 5 weeks and then off to the races.
you,
Yeah.
you know what the issue is? It's not really an issue, but one thing I've noticed, I was watching John Jew's video for the Vancouver, and you were in it, and I'm looking at you on stage, and I'm like, you're an in betweener. You're not. You're one of the biggest guys up there, but you're not considered a mass monster, and you have good shape, but you're not the shape guy, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
I,
you go in between, and it kind of leaves you kind of like, well, then what do we do with him,
it's
right?
like, that's a solid bodybuilder. He's going to be in the first call up, but he's not
Every
going to win the
time,
show. No, you're
exactly,
exactly fucking right.
bro.
Yeah. When I'm like
So
walking around, I don't have like the muscle hanging off of me that a guy like Nick does, where there's just so much tissue there because I have a bigger frame than him.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but I'm not quite that muscular, so
yeah,
I need to get that muscular. And with
yeah,
a
yeah.
shape that I have, which I'd say my shape is better than a guy like Nick's.
Of course,
Um, he just has a lot more muscle, right? Um,
it,
then I mean, that's
you
what I
got to
need
pick a
to do.
side.
Yeah,
You got to say fuck this. And anytime I've seen you completely huge, blasting full, even if your stomach is distended, like more distended, it's not distended in general, but compared to how it on stage, honestly, I'm like, I don't even care how the stomach looks. Like, I'm like, it looks impressive to me.
are you talking about like the night before the cow?
Yeah,
Kind
like
of.
at
Oh,
nighttime, loaded
okay.
on food. I'm kind
Yeah,
of like, I think it's more impressive, because they will look past it to a point. Like we all know Nick doesn't have the best waist, but you're like, I
that's
don't know, he's beating him everywhere else. So like, I still believe Phil should I beat Roden. With all due respect, I love Roden, but I'm like, the waist, okay, but he's still motherfucking got everything else on him. So what do you want to do with it? So I feel like you have to pick a side. You have a big frame, but you don't have Andrew's frame. You have a shit ton of muscle, but it's not like Nick. You have a lot of shape, but it's not like, I don't know, Samson or somebody Regan or something. So it's almost like, where do you go from there? You're always going to be like, he's solid, bring him in. But the mass monster wins, the shape guy wins, and Stu is Stu, right? So Tonio wins or Nick wins, and Stu kind of like, I'm kind of bigger and harder, but okay, I kind of have a better waist, but okay. So it's like you almost have to. You're not going to go the opposite and get smaller and try to be aesthetic. So
I
you
mean,
got
and like I could bitch and moan about like, oh well, they should have picked me, but like that's not going to do me any good. And I just need to be fit into a mold, you
I think
know,
so. I
because
think
I'm
so.
kind of like a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 on a lot of things. So we're fucking gassing it this year, boys. Send it. And then not 5 grams a test, but like,
Yeah, don't
I
do
don't know,
Yeah,
maybe 1.5.
One and
I
a half would
think
be good. One and a half
Yeah.
would be a good spot.
I think you should document all the training and dieting on YouTube, and then maybe a subscription page on Instagram
I
or.
was I was thinking about doing that. Yeah, like a log on Instagram that's like $2 or $3 a month for the people who care to
Yeah.
see it.
Oh,
Dude,
you
do it.
you, you could do more than that. Eventually, like I would say, every 10 people you get, go up
You
on
can
that
change
fucking
it.
shit.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's seriously though, like people, what a lot of people don't realize is like people out there that are your fans, they want some kind of way to give back to you. It's insane. Like, and if you give them the option to be like $2, like
yeah,
they're like,
do it.
sure, go
No
ahead. And
problem.
yeah, it's crazy. Like how many people would sign up for that, and you'd be like, holy shit, like this is pretty good. Maybe I can get some Serostim.
Well,
Oh, that's the other thing we got to discuss with you, Chase. Your GH fix.
he did the farm.
He was doing like a pen of Serostim a day, right?
Oh,
Vial of Serostim.
Yeah.
come on, Chase. You throwing away money, baby. Throwing away money, man. I get on the
Generic
generics
over here.
Generics, baby.
I don't know, man.
I swear, this is not. We're not making it up. We've done it on the podcast. We've put people onto, and they literally tell me they've gotten bigger. On fucking, Jay said, I'm getting better results on Thursday. I'm like, you see that water retention day. It's not always a bad thing. You get that water, fucking.
That's a good point.
This shit is all. It's all the muscle is 70% water. So
it's true.
Keep the water coming. Keep the water coming.
Also, what I don't want is like the terrible edema in my ankles and feet. Like that scares the hell out of me.
You'll get it if you have enough. I'm not gonna lie to you, but just wear fucking
just wear big shoes.
Wear long socks.
Yeah. There you go.
You can't see shit. It's like it's like in the 90s. If you don't know what's going on, it's not happening. If you can't see the edema, there's no edema, baby. You're good.
So Chase, when you were, are you currently running shitloads of growth hormone or just
No.
the test?
No, just the test right now. But I am actually testing out the new Pfizer Ngenla long-acting HGH product. Have you guys heard of that?
No.
I don't know anything about farm, bro. We don't.
We're too poor for that.
Well, I guess there are generic versions of it too. But there's this long-acting growth hormone now where you take one shot of, like, say you want to do 10 IUs a day. You take 70 IUs on one day, and it spreads it out throughout the whole week.
Okay.
I like that time release. I like that time release shit. I'll do short and long.
The question though is it gonna fuck up your insulin sensitivity by having really high growth hormone levels all the time?
Yes,
because that's what happens with MK677. Right. That's the reason why it's a shit drug. Is because you're like, you have chronically high GH. It sucks. It fucking sucks. You hold 10 pounds of water, you don't really make any gains, and you go diabetic. It fucking sucks. Okay, yeah, it makes you eat. Sure. Yeah. Smoke a joint.
My appetite was so bad that I actually added it in. Then I started getting bloated. Then I'm like, I'm not digesting these carbs, am I? So I added in. Am I saying too much? So I went and added Humulin R. Boom, it went down. I'm like, I didn't check my blood sugar. I'm like, I probably was. It was making me insulin resistant. So now I backed off to every other day, and I am doing some Humulin, at least in the mornings. In the mornings is when it really gets me. So you got to be careful with that insulin sensitivity. First of all, you can go diabetic, but if not anything else, you're not gonna make gains if the carbs are just sitting on your fucking stomach.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's just fucking sitting there. You know, so you got to.
Yeah, so I'm testing that out right now, and I just got blood work. I just came from getting blood done to check out serum growth hormone level. Like I pinned it all on Sunday. It's Friday. Let's see what the growth hormone numbers look like. Let's see what IGF-1 looks like. I also checked fasting insulin and glucose and some other stuff just to see is my fasting insulin going to be super high, after a week of basically a small dose of it. So like a whole pen, if you inject a whole pen of it, it's technically 90 IUs in a pen, but unfortunately there is like a conversion. I don't know why they did it this way, but it's 2.77 IUs of this new growth hormone from Pfizer is equivalent to 1 IU of genotropin. It's stupid. So like you inject the whole 90 IUs and it ends up being 4.66 IUs daily, which is kind of like, well, that sucks.
Doesn't that usually happen with the longer acting stuff? It seems like, right? it usually is a little bit
Is
weaker.
Lantus like that? I don't even know if that.
But
You
it
think when you
Well,
do
acts so
100 IU's of
differently
Lantus,
that like how comparable is it? You know, to like a
yeah,
human log. Like
yeah, I don't know
you don't
about
feel
it.
it. You could sit there and shoot fucking 200 IU's of Atlantis and not go hypo,
Well,
like
I
at
mean,
no point.
I guess
if you
that's a
don't
good.
eat all day, you will. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, yeah.
I guess that's a good point. But yeah, so it's like this first week, I did the equivalent of 4.66 IU's a day. Checked blood work today. The game plan is do 2 pens next week, so it'll be like 9 IU's a day equivalent. And then by the time I get to the point where it's like, okay, let's try 3 pens, hopefully the blood work from the first one will be in, and I'll be able to be like, okay, how's the insulin looking? How's glucose looking? Like, how's everything look? And try a week of 3 pens and then try a week of 4 pens. And
Nice,
like
nice.
4 pens would be 16, so it would be like 18, would be like doing a vial of Serostim a day, 18 IU's a day.
so
So
if you were doing 4 pens, would you spread that out over the course of the week or just all one day?
I'm just gonna do it all in one day. Yeah,
Okay.
because
Holy shit.
like, yeah, you do it all in one day, and technically it's supposed to spread it out across the week. So, but
Dude,
um,
that sounds wild. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, I like this first week. I mean, I feel like I'm on 4 IU's. So, I don't know. Well, I'm really curious to see if because like my fasting insulin on my last blood work was like a 2.6 or something. So if my fasting insulin comes back at like a 10 on this, then it's like, okay, that on just 1 pen on 4.6 I use a day, it's like, okay, that's not good. Because if I use more, it's gonna go fucking higher. And I don't want
What are you gonna do? What if that happens? Are you gonna come
if that
off, or are you
happens.
gonna take
Well, so
Lantus?
like the blood work's not gonna come in until I do the week of 2 pens. So
Mhm.
it's like if the blood work comes back and it shows that my fasting insulin has gone up significantly, I'll stop. Like I'll just it's not going to be worth it.
Hey,
Like I already,
just
I mean, if
just
I'm
add
going to become a
some.
diabetic doing this shit, I'm not trying to be.
Just throw some Lantus, some berberine at it.
Throw a
You're good to
shitload of
go.
Lantus.
Throw
Yeah,
some
I don't
bunch of
know.
Lantus. Not worth it. Okay, okay.
But yeah,
See,
so that's the idea is like doing this just to see if it's another option because apparently Pfizer is getting rid of genotropin and replacing it with this.
get
So
rid of it. Get rid of everything, all the farm
a
shit.
lot, a lot of people that love genotropin are panicking and they're like, "Can we use this? Is this going to be a good option?" And it's like, well, not if it's going to make you a diabetic, but we'll
Oh,
see.
speaking of that, some old gay guy kept trying to like give me genotropin on
Yeah.
Instagram, and I'm like, "Ah, I think I can get it," but he was making me so uncomfortable. I had to block him, bro. And I'm like, fuck, I should have just got the genotropin then block him. But I just couldn't. He was making me starting to make me very uncomfortable. So I was like, I don't think I can because I would have to. I don't want him to mail it to me. He's my address, right? And then if I pick it up, what am I walking into here? Like, what's
Yeah.
like,
Have him mail it to Zaid.
I don't even know if I can
This
find his page. And once you block him, oh, you just go to your block people.
Yeah, you
Go
can
to your
email
black
them.
people. I'm like, hey, sorry, things got busy, so I blocked you. I'm sorry. Uh, but
That's
meantime, can you send some shit over here?
that's what sucks about Serostim is like literally the only people that get prescribed it are people with AIDS. And
Yeah, for sure.
there's nobody that's like just making that and fucking selling it. Like the sources that have Serostim, they're buying it
For
from
sure.
people with AIDS. Like they're just that the people with
Yeah,
AIDS got their number and they send them their kits and then they sell them. But it's just like if you want to go outside of one of those bulk buyers, like you gotta deal with
yeah.
some gay people.
Just, just stick with generic. If you don't want to have to deal with the gays,
it's much less gay. Generics are much less gay.
Generics are so less gay.
no, he's right. Because anytime somebody's adamant, oh, I need just, I gotta use Saracen. I'm like, bro, I can give you a connect, but just know that I can't tell you what's gonna after I give you this connect. Whatever happens is up to you. But I can give you the contact.
Well, unfortunately, the thing that usually happens is the connect dies, and you're like,
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, can I get a picture of your bicep? Oh, what does that have to do with? Yeah, send me the $800 with a picture of your bicep. All right, can I just send you 900 instead? No, bicep picture. I'm like,
on a picture with a syringe in your ass.
Bicep gets me a discount. What the fuck? Come on.
Is this good? No, a little lower. Whoa. How about this? Yeah? It's just, I'd rather just go generic route. I'd rather go generic route, you know. But so okay, yeah. So if that happens, you wouldn't just go on Lances and keep sending it.
Well, the problem is like then you're like if your fasting insulin is going up and you throw Lantus in or take Humalog to like drive your glucose down, your insulin's still high. Like you're just replacing your endogenous insulin with Humalog or Lantus. And so then you've still got super high insulin numbers. I mean, granted, it would only be for 4 weeks, but still, it's like you have high insulin numbers. You're slowly just becoming insulin resistant to that. And then
insulin resistance leads to getting fat.
And then you're
already there.
You just get fat. And if you're insulin resistant, then your triglycerides go up. And if you're insulin resistant, you become more inflamed. And then you start storing plaque. And then you're basically a dead diabetic.
It all goes downhill, to say the least.
So yeah, I mean, if it shows that my fasting insulin is climbing significantly, like if it stays under 10, like I'd be fine with that. But if I go from a 2.6 to a 10 or higher, like that's a big fucking jump, especially for only 4.6 IUs a day. Like,
yeah,
you know.
So it seems like there's been like the steroid guy in every like era, every 5 to, well, not 10 years. I guess every 5 years, there's a different guy who's more of the, okay, this is a steroid guy, right? I think right now Chase is that guy. But here's the difference. I think Chase is more health conscious than we are. I think Chase is more health conscious than me and Stu, actually.
Well, I gotta be, otherwise I'll just fucking die.
but most people aren't, bro. Like I gotta be honest. Even a lot of people, even if they're on like not crazy doses, most bodybuilders don't know they're not very health conscious. Oh, yeah. They're just like some of them just don't do enough drugs that they necessarily have to be that careful, right? Oh, yeah. You know, but for the most part, a lot of like we know me and Stu know what the fuck we're doing. But like I said, a lot of these people they actually don't even know what any of this shit is. GFR, they're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, never mind. Just don't mind. Don't worry about it. Like they don't actually know what the fuck is going on. They just know that you got your basic stuff, your test, your debug, your DECA, and that's it.
I mean, you know, I want to bring up Boston because I love bringing up Boston because I love Boston. You know, I don't think he. Correct me if I'm wrong, actually, Beatty, because you knew him a lot better. I feel like he didn't really know that much about health risk mitigation until he needed to, and at that point, it was too late. You know, with the kidney stuff. Is that correct?
Yeah. When he met Leo, he learned a lot more. He was pretty old school. Just get blood work, donate blood, he was into taking like with it. No, he used to do like I think with a beta blocker maybe because we didn't. I don't think he knew about the Ramapril or Tabasart until Leo. But he was very basic with his health knowledge. Now his knowledge from experience, like let's say like a Hani is a genius, but not book smart. It's experience smart. That was how Boston was. Boston was a very smart young man, and he would never put anybody else in danger. But when it came to himself, maybe not so much. Now, he did all the blood work and shit. He did all that. He knew what was going on. He just didn't necessarily always do something about it. His blood pressure had been high since he was a teenager. He was aware because he checked his blood work. But if you check it and then you leave it, I don't think he actually believed having high blood pressure could actually harm you that much until later on but by that time it was getting late.
Yeah, I mean, it's not in retrospect, it's kind of dumb to think that, but like when you see people with high blood pressure, it's usually because they're fat, and those are the
Mhm.
people that die, right? Because they're fat, right?
Mhm.
So I just have high blood pressure because I'm muscular. I must be fine. That's healthy tissue,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah, yeah.
it is and it
Well,
isn't.
he also looked at it as, and at the time this was true, maybe not anymore, but at the time he was like, "Listen, everybody builds a blood pressure is high," and at the time he was saying this, he was probably correct because people weren't actually taking medication back then. So he was
Yeah.
right. Like everybody that was huge back then had high blood pressure, and he's like, "Well, everybody isn't dead, so maybe it's not that serious."
Yeah.
I don't know, but you just can't look at it that way because, like I said, genetics. So many people are genetic freaks, and not just by how they look, but health wise too. Some people they don't they're like invincible almost, right? So
Yeah,
that's not
I've
a way.
seen some. I remember, Trained by JP. He has his like member site with the forum and everything.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
haven't been on there in quite a while, but I remember looking through some of these guys' logs, and they were taking like 2, 3 grams of drugs, and their blood like they weren't really doing anything to address their cholesterol or blood pressure or whatever, and it was fine. I was
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
these
Yeah.
guys are just tanks.
How the fuck is Big Lenny alive, bro? He's been in heart failure for the last 15 years. Like
Crazy.
you shouldn't be alive, but he is. So it's like, would you look at that and say, oh, maybe I could run a bunch of shit and never do anything about it and be fat and no, you
Crazy.
probably couldn't. Somehow his body is, bro. He's alive and he's still like really heavy. Still have a huge stomach. Still
Yeah.
can barely breathe. It's getting worse too, but he ain't dead, bro. And he don't go to the hospital.
Yeah.
No hospital whatsoever. So I don't know. He just that's just the luck of the call. And Boston didn't actually die from. I mean, his aortic dissection. That's not related to kidney failure. That's not related to. Well, you can't say it's not related to steroids because
Probably it's probably related to high blood pressure, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
more than anything,
If
more than
your
anything.
heart's working that hard and you have that pre-existing defect,
Okay,
you're more susceptible to it blowing. I
Yeah.
think
it
that's
ha-
reasonable to say.
it has to be pre-existing, like going bald.
Yeah,
But for sure, if you're on crazy cycles, you will go bald faster.
Yeah.
Stu isn't bald because Stu just doesn't have the genetics to go bald, which is fine. So because when Dallas died, like, well, if it was the drugs, we would all be dead at 26. But I'm like, well, no, both things can be true. You have the predisposition, and then the gear made it worse,
the
right?
takeaway here is you don't know everything about you. The Boston didn't know he had that, pre-existing thing, right? Who the
The only
fuck
way he
would?
would have known is getting an MRI. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
and
he
so
wasn't
like
gonna do that.
realistically, most bodybuilding competitors are not going to go and do that homework, right? So
Yeah.
just hedge your bets, do the really cheap insurance of like, controlling your blood pressure, controlling your blood work. This is easy stuff. It's cheap. It's easy. You spend thousands of dollars a year on, anabolics, probably.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, this is spending 20 cents a day on some lisinopril or something. I mean, go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. People also don't realize that because we're in the world of bodybuilding, some of us are so deep in it, we only can see bodybuilding. We don't realize when you look at the outside world that people do die and people do die young and people do have heart attacks and kidney failure. Nate Robinson, he's basically dying from kidney failure. He's an NBA player. He's in his 30s. He's not a bodybuilder, but nobody. I mean, he could have taken steroids. I don't fucking know what he done, but that's not the point. It's like if this happened to us, everybody, you know what everybody would be thinking, right? But
Yeah,
we're discounting that people die and men die. Every man dies unless you die from some outside reason. If a man dies of natural causes, what does that mean? Kidney failure, heart attack. That's what dying means as a man. Every single one of us dies from heart, from a heart failure, heart attack, or kidney failure. Every single one,
eventually. Yeah,
unless some if you're lucky, you die from that. Unless someone kills you first. But that's how we die. Literally, how we die. Women usually die like they slip, break a hip, and then
Yeah.
they can't recover and they die. But we always die from heart attack, heart failure, kidney failure. That's just how we die as men. So you take steroids, which makes you more of a man. You just die a manlier death even faster.
There's not the right way to look at it, dude. Fuck.
No,
That reminds me, actually. My grandfather, he passed away earlier this year. He was 102 years old. He was in kidney failure. Like his kidneys weren't fucking working for like
so
over
real
a
man.
year.
Real
Yeah.
man.
He first of all, he made it to 102, which is crazy. And then he should have been dead after 6 months of this. Like his kidneys not functioning. He lasted like a year and a half. Like you're talking about longevity genetics, and this guy was just tougher than boot leather. You know?
Yeah. He just refused to die. He said, "I'm not gonna fucking die.
Yeah,
Fuck,
man.
fuck the yeah. I'll die when I'm ready to die. I'll die, motherfucker."
So you got good kidney genetics. Good.
I got good hair genetics too. He still had full head of hair.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Dead
yeah.
serious. Yeah.
Hey man, next time I see my dad, I'm gonna take a real good look at him. I'm like, "How you feeling, Dad? You okay? You look good. I mean, you look great, you know. But see a hairline? He still got his hair. I'm like, okay."
While we're on this topic, look at your family health history. You know, if you got a history of cancers or, you know,
I got diabetes in my family.
okay,
I'm black though. Black people all
is
got
it
this.
type 1 or type 2?
Oh, that would be a good question to ask.
Because
Well,
type 1, you probably would have had it already. Type 2, that is a history of diabetes, but if it's type 2, is probably just diet induced.
It's not that diabetes runs in your family. It's that nobody runs in your
family. Yeah.
Well, one of my uncles got his leg chopped off. What would that indicate? That would probably be type 1.
I don't know.
That could still be type 2. Yeah.
Or type 2.
Yeah, well, if it gets bad enough. Yeah.
But my dad doesn't have diabetes, but he also the only one that did run. so there's a correlation there, you know what I'm saying? And my uncles all were born and raised in Ghana. So the diet, I don't know, 1 meal a day, very starchy carbs. I don't know. So yeah, look at your family history. One of my uncle on my mom's side, one of my uncles passed away from cancer, but he was up there in age already. That's about it, man. My grandfathers all lived very long. Grandmoms all lived very long. Alzheimer's, my memory isn't the best. It's about it. Dementia.
Dallas McCarver, like his ton of people in his family had died of heart attacks in like their 40s.
Two uncles that passed away.
Yeah, so
pretty young.
Writings on the wall, man. Yeah.
But see, what do you do with that information at 25? If I'm 25, everybody says he should have stopped. I'm like, if I'm 25, I just signed with Redcon. God knows how much money I'm making. They're looking at you like you're gonna make this brand. Everybody's Miss Olympia. I got to be honest with you. I know it sounds fucked up, but there's almost zero chance I'm gonna stop. Yeah. I'm gonna. You can't. You don't have a. If I had a magic globe and I'm like I'm gonna be dead, I would stop. But you don't.
At 25, I was fucking doing all the trend. Like I would have been like, hell yeah, let's do it.
You're invincible.
Yeah,
you're not gonna stop, bro. I mean, it's unrealistic to think that at the prime is maybe if he wasn't a pro yet and he was making ends meet, he could have stopped. But he was literally living the dream he wanted his whole life.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna stop. You can say that. Well, yeah, if you're in your mid 30s, it's easy to say, yeah, I would have stopped. Yeah, with the mind you have now. But at 25, it doesn't work that way. You're not gonna stop.
Yeah.
You know, he tried to. I remember seeing a video after the whole pneumonia, not pneumonia. Well, he called it pneumonia, but when he passed out backstage on stage, and then he was like, yeah, he took a break. He wasn't training. He came off the gear. But you gotta keep in mind, Dallas downsized was still over 300 pounds. You know, so for him, that's downsizing. But he went from 340 to 300, you know, which is still, it's just really not much of it. And then he started back up. I mean, it seems fair. Okay, I took a good, I don't know, 3 months of relaxing. Let's push it back. Yeah, that's what any 25-year-old do. Honestly, I probably would have took like 2 weeks off the bitch and started back again. So what do you want him to do? He was living his dream. He's not. he's not at fault here. He's just a young man chasing his dream, and he probably would have been a lot more miserable if he didn't. And guess what? If he didn't get some kind of procedure done, just like his uncles, he still would have died, but just miserable. He would have just died, what, 5, 10 years later, but miserable. So it's like, is that better? Better, better for who? Better for us or better for him? Or I can't say that's better.
Yeah.
So to each his own. To each his own. I mean, I could say with Boston, as sad as everybody is, I think people who are close to him know that Boston was going to do whatever the fuck he was going to do, and there was no other way that he knew how to live or wanted to live. So you can say whatever you want. At the end of the day, if you have to do what makes you happy, even if that sounds kind of fucked up in that situation. But being miserable and living till you're 70 and being a shit dad that's miserable and nobody likes you is not a way to live either. Dying isn't the way either, but maybe somewhere in between, you know. Maybe somewhere in between. How many dads are like going home to their wife and kids and miserable? Nobody likes them. The wife leaves them. The wife fucking cheats on them, leaves them, and so at the end of the day, you have to be happy. Maybe find some balance and happiness. But if you're not happy, then you're fucked either way.
I mean, that's something that a lot of people like try to talk to me about is like, why are you doing this? Like, this could end your life early, or a lot of people think I'm just going to die in the next year or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I mean,
you love it.
Well, there's that, but it's just like the way that my life is set up right now, it's pretty fucking awesome. Like I love the way that things are. Like I couldn't imagine having to go back in the gym and be a personal trainer or something like that, and working 12 sessions a day and all that bullshit. Like it's crazy, like how things have changed, before YouTube and how everything has gone with that. So it's just, I don't know. People just don't know.
You're using your body to make a living. I do it. Beatty does it.
NFL plays. LeBron does it.
Strippers do it. It's all different.
OnlyFans.
But like an NFL player is putting his health at risk doing what he's doing. Bodybuilders putting your health at risk doing what you're doing. I mean, you get a lot of attention because of the wild shit that you're doing.
Yeah.
Now you're not going to be doing this forever, though. I know that because you have a daughter now, right?
7 months old.
Oh shit! Dude, congrats! I didn't know. Thanks. Oh no, I did. I did hear. I think I heard about the pregnancy protocol and stuff like that. Maybe, but I guess I wasn't aware when she was born. But congrats, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But yeah, no, I mean, like this whole thing I'm doing now, it's like after this, I don't know. I'll probably just keep it. I mean, that cruise on 1,000 test was really like, I was like, this is nice. Like, I don't have to inject hardly anything. I'm making great progress still. Like, so I don't know. Like after I get done with this whole thing, I'm likely backing off and chilling for a while and just enjoying,
You said that you don't coach, but maybe, I mean, when you're done with all those experiments, and it would be, I think you should coach because you're gonna have so much information, that you probably should use it.
I mean, I do. I don't coach in the sense that it's like I have clients that are, lifestyle clients or whatever, but it's like I have things set up where it's almost like they get advice from me.
Gotcha.
Like I'm not going to write you a diet. I'm not going to write you a training program. I'm not going to do check-ins with you or anything. But I mean, that's what most of my business is, I have a membership. I have multiple membership options where people can ask advice, and it's like I'm a really cheap lawyer on retainer.
That's good. That might be actually better that way. Actually,
it's just less responsibility. Like I don't want to deal with them failing and or whatever, falling off. Like I don't want to deal with the whiny people and all that shit. So,
but it's such a joy.
Like I did it, and I was just like, this like when I transitioned from in-person personal training to online training, I did that for like it's like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I haven't done any online coaching in like it's been 2 or 3 years at this point, but yeah, it just got old real quick having to deal with that. So yeah.
Shit. Me and Stu got to set something up then. Start doing some automatic
I
programming.
mean,
You know,
with your YouTube channel, turn on the membership option and make a small membership for like $2. Start
I,
there and
I
see
didn't
what.
even know. I didn't know I could. I didn't even know I could do that. Gotta be honest with
Yeah,
you.
so you can there's like a membership subscription YouTube option in where you can post videos for your members, just like
Wow.
Instagram. But like that's
Hey.
that's how it started for me was I got this membership option on YouTube and I was like, okay, I'll
Oh,
check that out.
oh
And
yeah.
so I mean, that's that like I don't make I don't make fucking any money on ad revenue from YouTube, but the membership side, like I've got like what I have $5, $10, 25, 50, and $100 options.
Oh,
And spread across that, I think I'm at like 750 members.
that hundred
It's
dollar
pretty,
option.
the $100 option, you don't get very many of those. But across the
Those
other ones, it's not that skewed towards any particular one. Like it's pretty fucking crazy, how that can go.
that's
But
impressive. I was gonna say the $100 one is when the guys want to give you genotropin. That's the
Well,
guys who
so the hundred
sign
dollar
up.
option is it's the cell phone. It's a texting membership. You get my phone number, and they get priority in messaging me, and but I still don't coach them, but
Hmm.
they get priority and how quickly I respond. So yeah,
Hey, Stu, you taking notes, bro? This is good
I
stuff,
want
man.
to be clear. Like, I like coaching people when they're like
yeah,
solid people, and I
Of
do have
course,
some solid people. I have some bums too, and that's just comes
always
with the
got bums.
territory. Like personally, you're absolutely right, Chase. Like we were talking about that membership thing on IG, and I want to start doing. I just want to log my off season in there. Like
yeah,
I'd be basic shit for me. I just type down what I'm doing, and people are interested. Maybe they pay to see it, but
they would
you know,
absolutely would.
coaching wise, like if I could get to the point where I can be more selective with the people that I'm working with, that would
That'd be
make me a
nice.
lot more happier on a daily basis,
Oh
right?
yeah,
That'd be nice. Yeah. Anytime we get these drug questions, we look at it from our point of view, like, bro, it's really not as exciting as you think, but it is you gotta keep in mind, it was to us too at some point. At one point, I used to be like, whoa, what the fuck? What is this guy taking? Like,
And you know what? When I was at that point, this was like 2018, 2019, I was getting, actually, no, 2017, 18, like I was getting my advice from Tony Huge, right? Which, God bless him, that man does not know a thing about how to take gear. And I was doing a lot of dumb shit.
he's a
Uh,
he's a very nice man.
yeah, I've
I
heard
met
no,
that.
no, no, he is. No,
And
no, no, no,
I
you're
don't
right.
blame him for that. It
I
was
met
me
him at the
being,
Olympia. He's a very nice dude.
yeah,
Super nice guy. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
yeah, I believe it. I mean, I don't blame him for it. I take responsibility as a stupid 20-year-old
Yeah.
who couldn't help himself. But like
Mhm.
that was the information. He was like one of the only guys talking about this shit. Him
Mhm.
and Boston. I mean, Boston was more like, "Hey, don't do what I'm doing." Tony was a little more like, "Fuck yeah, dude, let's do this."
You know I think that's the difference. I think Chase might be the most helpful version of this
Yeah.
because he's so health conscious, and but also like Boston, like, don't do this. He's not even saying he's making crazy gains from this, right?
Yeah.
Because he's cutting. So he's not even saying like this is what all the pros are doing. He's not saying any of that. This is just what Chase is doing, just so Chase can see what happens.
Yeah.
And what happens, he'll just be honest. If he makes zero gains, he'll be like, hey, I made no fucking gains. I just got fucking instant, desensitized, and that was it. So the honesty is there, like Boston. Also, the him saying don't do as I do, like Boston, is there. So you get that plus the health conscious side. This is probably the best version of this, and I think this is why I think would you say he's more accepted than those? I think he's more accepted than Boston. Like we like Boston because we saw him as a good exactly. Some people to this day, oh, he wasn't a good person. Why would you do that? Did what exactly?
Well, he had this whole other side of him where he was trolling the shit out of the entire amateur NPC ranks at the national level, which was just, I loved it. I loved it so much. The roast of the USAs and the North Americans. It's like 3 times a year we got to see this complete demolition of these poor guys. And it was like, I'm fucking bummed that he wasn't alive when I did the USAs because I wanted to get roasted by him so bad. I've been watching him do that for years.
Honestly, but you had everything that he would, because he would complain about the soggy glutes and people not having like pro level arms but you had everything that he was saying people didn't have. So I think, and you were honest, I think he would have been like, this guy still was great.
I think he would roast, man.
Yeah, you thought. I mean, he used to roast me, and I was his friend. But it's like, but he's right. Like my glutes were soft. He'll be like, this guy should be winning, but he's not. Like, do I get offended? Like, a lot of his friends would be like, "Fuck you," and I'm like, why would I get mad? That's like Stu telling me that. You know, Stu probably already has told me that, but I don't know. But it's like Nick tells me shit like that. He just does it in private, I guess. But if you can't, also me and Stu, we're like sarcastic trolls down low, right? We just only difference is we understand that if we say it out loud on a podcast, it's gonna hurt people's feelings, and we don't want to do that. But sometimes it slips, and then I have to edit it out. But it's not like it's not that we don't like. You know, it's not. This is why we can understand Boston, because it doesn't mean you dislike somebody. Yeah. That's just how we are. We're sarcastic. If you're just a sarcastic asshole by nature, we talk to each other like that. We do it to Zayd, and we do it to each other. That's just what, I don't know. It's like boys like
locker room banter. Yeah, dude. And I think a lot of people in bodybuilding, they came from a really insecure background, personality wise, and they found themselves in this sport. They're getting showered with praise constantly, and like because they didn't do the locker room talk when they were younger. You know, they weren't involved in that kind of like socialization. Like they receive it negatively, and fuck, dude. Sometimes I get sensitive. Then I like pull my head out of my ass. I'm like, okay, there's a lot of people watching. They're gonna have things to say. Doesn't matter. And if they're clever with the trolling, fucking bring it on. I mean, that's all good fun, right? I enjoy that.
Also, me and Stu aren't above apologizing. If we felt like there's something that was said or something that happened that we could see how it could be taken like that, we're not too proud to be like, this is not how I meant it. But you know what I'm saying? If I can see how that came off that way, I apologize for that, right?
Boston but if you did not apologize because he legitimately didn't understand why people didn't understand the joke, right?
He didn't get it.
He didn't get it, right? And we know why, but it's like I don't think he ever meant ill, save for a couple instances where he was talking about real scumbags and some names come to mind. Like he didn't mean ill by none of it.
Like yourself, you only mean ill when you mean ill. Like, you know, like when you talk about one guy in particular, you know, listen, if I mean ill, you'll know. You don't have to guess it. You'll fucking know. So anything else is literally banter. So often I literally I'll have like a joke and I won't say it. I'm like, I can only joke like that with my friends, because if I make this joke, this person doesn't know me and they're gonna be like, oh, we fucked this guy, and that's happened.
Especially, you know, so like, dude, when you're commenting on like pro bodybuilding, right?
And I'm not a pro as well.
Well, so, it's not right. I mean, but a lot of people are listening to, and a lot of people are listening to me. And like, I have to remind myself, like, people actually pay attention to like what I say now, because I'm at a certain stage in my career, right? Because 2 years ago, I was like, whatever, run your mouth. Who cares? You're an amateur. Nobody gives a fuck. But like, people give a fuck now. I don't know why. It's stupid.
Really good. Watch the first 10 episodes of this podcast.
Please don't.
We don't. Because we're like nobody. I thought because nobody's watching, and they were like, "Oh, I think people are watching." Well, maybe you gotta take it easy, you know. But
Man, that's another thing. It's like if you go, if any of you guys like go to the, well, I know Stu has, but if you go like to the Arnold Expo or the Olympia Expo, it's crazy who you find out watches you, and you're kind of like, oh, it's not just a bunch of
Yeah.
yeah, but you, you'll be you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised.
crazy.
I think, yeah. Also, even commenting on pros, sometimes I hate to listen to the podcast because sometimes I cringe. I remember we were talking about the Arnold. I'm trying to make a point that I thought Tonio beat Rafa, but then in doing so, like when I imagine if Rafa was watching that, he's like, "Damn, bro, what you got against me?" But I didn't even think about that. In my head, I'm thinking Tonio is my friend, but even if he wasn't my friend, I just thought he like that kind of condition didn't compare. But in talking about it, I'm kind of shitting on Rafa. I'm like, he looks 6 weeks out. I'm like, no, he doesn't fucking look 6 weeks out. But in comparison to how Tonio's look, you know, so it's like you got to be
Yeah.
careful with things like that because then you start talking like you're with your boys. You forget the camera's on,
Right.
and then the episode is over, and this guy is like, "Fuck you, motherfucker! Who the fuck are you? What have you done?" And you're
I've
like,
just
"You're
learned
right."
better at this point. Like, I don't think I haven't really gotten myself in any awkward situations, but like uh, all these professionals are basically my coworkers, right? And
Mhm.
like, you don't want to run into them at the coffee break, like backstage, basically, and be like, "Hey, you said this shit about me." Like, God, I did. I'm sorry. You're really nice.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Well,
I'm just running my mouth. I
Well,
shouldn't
that's
do
what's
it.
funny is how it usually goes is like when you do like talk shit about somebody or that you find somebody else, when you finally meet them in person, you're kind of like, oh man, you're pretty cool.
yeah,
What was I
yeah.
doing? Yeah.
It definitely happens that way as well. Yeah, you want this to be pleasant. Why have bad blood, especially if you're not like that, you don't want bad blood. You're just talking freely
Because
as
we're on
well.
too much test, man.
Yeah.
Some of us.
Yeah.
Some
Some
of
of us
us.
that. I got to be honest, like staying on trend with this rebound with more food. I'm a little bit too edgy, man. I'm a little bit too edgy. Edgier, edgier than I would like to be. I'll say some things. I'm like, sometimes it'll be the next day. I'm like, damn, I kind of laid it on a little thick there. I'm thinking that right now. Earlier, I had a conversation with one of my clients. I was like, oh, that was a bit. It was honest though, so at least I could say maybe we should be dishonest. But I'm like, oh, maybe that was a bit too. I'm sure he didn't appreciate that very much. You know, it is what it is. So I'm not gonna apologize, but maybe I'll be extra nice to him for the next week. You gotta. All right. We have anything left to cover? Did we ask Chase everything we need to?
We actually cover anything
Did we
relevant?
cover?
We could
What
always have him back on to because we got to have him back on to see how this thing went. I also want him to experiment. Well, you are with the GH, but I want you to experiment with. I shouldn't be the one giving you suggestions per se, but it's kind of cool knowing somebody who does these experiments because I kind of want to see what happens too, right?
With
Like,
what?
would you be down to do like generics, but like a shit ton, like 30, 40 IUs?
30, 40? I don't know. I mean, I did test out a generic. Oh, when was that? Was that late? Was that early this year? I can't remember. I did 20 IUs generics
Mhm.
and like I was on 18 IUs of Serostim, then I switched straight to 20 IUs of generics. I lost 10 pounds and I felt like I wasn't on anything. And then I went back
Oh,
on
no.
Serostim, weight came back on and everything. I was just kind of like,
Don't
okay, well, that's weird. But
whatever you were taking, don't take that again.
oh
I'm a
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you which one to take.
Hey, I mean,
And
Look at
I'll
you go,
test.
baby.
Sure, I'll test it. But yeah.
it's gonna be sold out in a week again.
Well, that's what
Again.
I was worried about with this Ngenla stuff is I said like, okay, I'm gonna start testing this stuff out and to see how it is. And I was telling people, I'm like, don't buy it yet. Wait, because otherwise, like we all go fucking diabetic. But I was
Yeah,
just like, hold on, let me review it, let me see what it's all about. And sure enough, I know at least like 20 people that already bought like 5 or 6 pounds
of
of it.
course, you're not
What are
gonna.
you doing? Like, come on, man.
Well, that's
Hey,
like a still under patent, like pretty new
It's
pharmaceutical,
very
right?
new. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very, yeah.
I
well,
won't even ask how the fuck you got your hands on that, but I am curious. Like,
very curious,
I
but
mean, it's been okay.
don't try it until he gives you the green light. You
Well, that's
remember?
just
Uh-huh.
that's just
You
it. It's
remember?
like the people that sell it, they're like, do a review of this, see how it
So
is, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
if it's good, I mean, it's going to blow up.
we're
But if
gonna
it's
hit the
not, then it's
generic
like,
market. That's what we want.
Yeah. You remember when Boston did the injectable lipo, the adipotide or whatever you call it?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
adipopeptide.
Yeah. So when he started it, he's like, this shit works like a charm. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get some. So I hit up the guy and I'm like, what's the dose? The guy's like, ain't no dose. I'm like, how much do I take? I don't fucking know. Ain't nobody knows. You just try it. I'm like, what? That should have been the red flag right there. I don't even fucking know the dose. So I'm like, Boston, what's the dose? Well, he tells me what he did and what I should do. So I go about half of what I should do, basically. You know what I'm saying? And then, I mean, he's right. It fucking works. But I felt that I did it in my glutes, but I felt like my glutes got smaller, which would tell you that body killing not just the fat cells, but all the fucking cells. So the muscle cells was going, the whole nine, you know. And I got a side effect that was pretty, that kind of proved that it was killing everything.
Boston was
But
trying to put it
I
in his like his
remember.
love handles, right?
yeah, he was putting his lower back. He used to hold a lot of fat there. So of course, I mean he's honest. So of course he tells me at some point like, yeah, I think this shit just gave me kidney failure. And I'm like, that don't sound right. That sounds a little drastic, but yeah, I mean it probably expedited it. You know,
The,
so obviously I stopped doing it as well.
there's
But
something interesting about the lower back fat, the love handle area, is that when you have visceral fat built up in your waist, it leaks to the love handle area. And if you get an MRI of
Leaks.
this, you can see there's a clear line separating the visceral fat that's in your love handles and the
mhm,
subcutaneous fat. There's like a black line that runs through
yeah,
there. So you can be like, okay, that's where that is. And if he was like injecting into visceral fat that
mhm,
leads to his torso, his insides, like
mhm.
that's bad.
Oh
That's a bad
shit.
deal, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
Oh,
that's
okay. I see what you're saying.
so like if he's injecting into visceral fat and it's going into where his organs are, like
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
bad deal.
I saw
And
that
I just
MRI
learned this
picture.
within the last like few months about that. Like,
I saw that MRI picture you posted of
yeah,
like
yeah.
your
There's
visceral.
like I have like in my torso, there's like some visceral fat. Um, like if I was laying face up, like my waist is up here and my back's down here, there was a little bit of visceral fat kind of like down in the back corners. But then where my love handles were, there was some visceral fat that leaked into that, and you could see a clear line. And then where my skin is, where because it's like if you looked at like my abs, like there's very, very thin line of fat, but you could see that very, very thin line all the way around my body. But then under that, you could see in the love handle area, there was some of that had leaked out. And it's like,
So
that's not good. You got to
is
take
that
care of
due
it.
to excessive visceral fat, would you say? Obviously, you've been on a
I
lot of
mean, it's
PDAs.
part of it. Yeah. Yeah. It's
Okay.
part of it. Um,
Yeah. The
and as
strange
you
part
lose it,
is,
though, that typically that visceral fat that's leaked out goes first, and then
Okay.
the fat in your torso goes. So
Be
the
interesting to
only
see
part.
what it looks like that same MRI at the end of the diet you're doing. Like, how
well,
long
Yeah.
ago
I
did you get that
I'm
done?
really curious what it would have looked like 4 months ago when I was 280 pounds.
Oh yeah, that's a better
That
question.
would
Eh?
Yeah.
because my waist was pretty fucking big back then.
Yeah.
Like it's shrunk a lot since dieting down, but yeah.
But oddly enough, it seems like the people sometimes who hold body fat disproportionately sometimes get leaner faster because they only lose fat from one way. because Boston used to get peeled, right?
Yeah.
Even Joe and Paul both get peeled, and they hold fat like really just around their midsection,
Yeah.
right? So my thing is that why did Boston even use fat burners? He got shredded as fuck,
He
like
liked
pretty
drugs.
fast. Good
He
point.
loved drugs.
There wasn't a necessity. I guess none of us listen. There's no necessity for any of us to run the cycles we do. Let's be real, right? We don't have to be on. If you're a pro bodybuilder, it's still a choice. You don't have to take any drugs at all, right?
Well,
So,
I mean,
like,
I kind of proved this point this year. I used less gear during my preps this year than I have in any of the previous years I've worked with Blue. I looked better than I have. So, like, I think you need a lot of gear to build muscle.
Yeah.
I do believe that, but like
nutrition.
maintaining tissue while you're coming down until you're at the end of your prep when you're super lean, super depleted, and you're very susceptible to losing tissue. That's when you really need to ramp up androgens because you can get through like 70% of your diet basically on
Yeah.
minimal drugs.
Yeah. I believe that.
Preserving when it comes to muscle preservation, I think that's where the gear comes in. But even adding muscle, I think you if the HGH and insulin is pretty high, I think you just grow, right?
You'll still grow. I think it's just a matter of how fast.
How fast
Yeah.
you want to grow?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna think. Well, we got Chase to keep us updated on the real reason to grow.
Our
Anything,
guinea
hey
pig.
Chase. Yeah, you want to try running some T4 and some T3 and see how that goes off season.
No.
Well, the funny part, you talking to him, he actually sounds safe, right? You sound safer than I thought you would. You know,
I mean, I'm not trying to die. I don't want to kill myself.
yeah, Ben forget, yeah.
I
You're
mean,
all, uh-huh.
yeah. Well,
Yeah. I feel like you're like a hybrid because you're healthy too, like you're a healthy person. All the health stuff and all that, so
dude,
that's good for
I was
me.
shocked. I was shocked that my fucking heart wasn't enlarged even a little bit with that MRI. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like
Really?
it said it was normal sized. I was like, so
Wow.
it said my heart was normal size, kidneys weren't swollen. I was like, I thought for
Damn.
sure my heart was going to be at least like because like I mean even a natural athlete heart is like 10% bigger.
Yeah,
But I
Yeah,
yeah.
was
that's what mine looks like, I think. I've gotten
yeah,
a
I
couple
mean that's like
echoes done.
that's normal for an athlete. Like I was expecting that,
Yeah.
and they were like, "No, it's normal size." I was like, "Am I not working hard enough? What's
You gotta
happening
stick some
here?"
IGF in that left ventricle. Get that thing
my
bigger.
Yeah, but
my
yeah, it's
my
crazy, man.
my heart is pretty buff, pretty jacked. But
Yeah,
but as long as it's strong, if the ejection fraction is good and as long as they can perform, you can't be big and slow.
yeah,
You got to be big and like LeBron's heart is probably huge, but it's really efficient. That's fine. Big, you don't want a big and lazy heart. Then you're fucked. But a big strong heart, then you're good. So I got to keep my cardio up, keep that shit strong because
Should
if I
probably
let it
keep
get
doing
weak,
cardio. Fuck.
if I have a big ass weak heart, then we got problems. But my heart is swole, but it's swollen strong, motherfucker. It gets busy.
I feel like probably why mine is good was because I took like all of 2022 off. Like I had stopped like I was injecting like 125 tests every other week, basically. But like it was a straight year of basically nothing. I imagine my heart probably shrunk in that time period. And then like my blood pressure has been excellent since then. So I really haven't given my heart a reason to grow outside of injecting a bunch of shit. But like my blood
Yeah.
pressure hasn't been high enough to like push that. So I don't know. It's interesting.
I did that in 2019. I had pneumonia, which could have been COVID before we knew about COVID.
Yeah.
And so yeah, after I got out of the hospital, I just took a year off. I mean, what the fuck? I was like, imagine I got out the hospital. Let's fucking 300 pounds, motherfucker. Nah, yeah, you got to sit this one out for a little bit. So I came out of the hospital and I just took it easy. and kind of felt good. I looked different. My face looked all like puffy and shit. I felt too peaceful. I was looking at flowers and shit and fucking, you know. But yeah, the fucking sunset. I'm like, hey, come look at the sunset. You know, I'm like, is that how we really are? And we just don't know it because we're on so much androgens.
Fucking gay.
I hate
Like,
sunsets.
hate
We're probably,
flowers.
but when I think back to a teenager, I was super aggressive, but you're basically on cycle as a teenager. But as an adult, I don't know what kind of adult I would be without the hormones. Technically, I wouldn't know until later on.
Yeah,
Probably would shave your head and move to Thailand and become a Buddhist.
It might not be. It might not be a bad life, bro. It might not be a bad life, but I'm gonna hold off for now. We got to keep this thing rolling.
I mean, Steve basically did it, right?
I would love to see all of us like how we are in 20 years. Probably going to be completely different than what we thought. Completely different.
Yeah.
You know, like Dorian. You look at Dorian now. Now, one person would have thought that you thought he would have gonna be that old guy in the gym, fucking limping and one more sip, motherfucker. You know that kind of guy. You know, but he's like the complete opposite. He doesn't give a fuck about any of that. I thought he was gonna be like Brian Dobson, but he's the complete opposite. He's the most peaceful.
He's a yoga guy, right? Yoga instructor.
He's a yoga guy, yeah, and he smokes a shit ton of weed all day long, and just enjoys
Brian Dobson's
life.
actually pretty chill too.
He's very chill, yeah.
He's a very soft-spoken guy. He's very, very polite. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not Branch Warren. He's not screaming at me, right? But like, I don't know. I don't know if he's the same guy he was 20 years ago. Got some good stories though. Holy shit!
Yeah. I didn't get to go. Next time you're going again, right?
Yeah, we'll be living there, pal. So,
Or the next time you go, you're moving to say.
yeah.
Oh,
And you're moving too, remember? So,
yeah, we
Chase, where do
get
you
out
live?
there.
I'm in Chicago.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Chi-Town, damn. Do you hear gunshots at night?
No,
Not
I live by
that part, huh?
I live by Wrigleyville. It's
Oh, okay,
it's
yeah.
all yeah. It's very.
So, I mean, those guns are allowed. They could, you know.
I mean, you hear about some random stuff every once in a while, but I haven't actually ever seen anything.
So you cold. That's why you take all that gear. It's cold as fuck.
It gets cold. It's pretty nice right now, but yeah, it gets pretty cold.
If I live in Chicago, I'll be on 5 grams of test too.
Next experiment for Chase is going to be a DNP experiment during the winter. Get fucking peeled wearing a t-shirt outside.
Yeah. I got a cold tub now, and so maybe that's going to acclimate me, and I'll give it a try.
All right, gentlemen. I think that was solid. In my head, I feel like there's more I want to ask, but I can't think of anything. I think that was pretty good. But we got to have you back on
For sure.
when you're done with this experiment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then me and Stu got to start some subscription sites and shit. See where that goes.
I like that, but yeah.
No, I like that. I actually enjoy talking about gear, but only with people who get it. I don't really like talking about gear with people who, because they just don't. You can't explain it to them. They just really don't understand it. You know, like they have no grasp of what's going on. So you find yourself talking in circles. You know, but I wouldn't mind talking about gear for like the YouTube subscription site, something like that. So if you guys want to leave in the comments, if you guys want to see me and Stu, not like together, like just like our own pages. If you guys want to see us have like sub pages, let us know. And go buy Stu shirts at beefstew.net.
.net, yes.
.net. I got shirts too, and no, I'm not copying Stu. I had the shirts for a while. I was just too lazy to set up the site, so it's just been sitting around the house forever. But Stu did motivate me to actually finish the site. He said it was easy, and it was very easy to finish the site.
Actually, it's pretty easy, yeah.
Yeah. Now just sourcing it for the shipping, I want to get shipping costs down, so I don't have to charge. I want to be able to ship for cheaper. But go check out the description box. Go check out the shirts. Cop at least 30 or no more podcasts.
Yep.
And then Chase, you go follow Chase on Instagram at Chase Irons. And I don't know your other YouTube, same Chase Irons.
Everything's Chase Irons, yeah.
Okay, and he has the sub sites, the whole nine. Go sub if you want to see him do 20 IUs a farm.
Wait, Chase, last question before we go. What
Yeah.
is your actual last name Irons?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
man.
Really?
fire.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
That's fire. Is it actually spelled that way?
Yep. Yep.
Really? See,
Dude,
in my head, uh-huh.
I have a client whose last name is Muscle Man, Musselman.
Oh,
He's
geez.
Yeah.
fucking jacked, right? So it's
That's
like, this is
hilarious.
awesome.
It's fucking like when I go to Starbucks, I'll put body instead of Beatty, right? And they'll be like, "That's your real name?" I'm like, "Yes." They'll be like, "Why you say it like that?" They're like, "Well, it's not spelled that way, and it's barely pronounced that way, but it's close enough that it works." So I thought with Chase, it was like it was maybe close, and then he finagled it, but no, it's really Chase Irons, huh?
No, that it is what it is. I mean, like, so short story. My great grandpa, he did something for the Secret Service a long time ago. Our real last name was Kellum, but they
Oh,
told him like you need to pick a new last name because so these people don't find you. And he picked Irons, and
great job.
They're
yeah.
gonna find you
Hey.
now, Chase.
No, well, no, so I only know the last name due to like ancestry.com or something and how we were related to all these Kellums or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
then like my sister reached out to him and they were like,
Hey,
we all had the same like grandparents or something.
well, the Secret Service definitely flagged this podcast, and they're gonna be like, "We got a ring, we got a hit." They go
They're
get him.
supposed to release what he did like within the next 5 years or something. So
Hell
You
yeah.
just
we'll know
That'll
he
be a
just
good YouTube video.
Chase just blew up the operation, so they're gonna come knocking at your
Whoops.
door, Chase. You know. Did you guys see the desktop bodybuilder video? He finally made the video about the whole
Yeah, I haven't
situation.
watched it, but I
It's
saw he
hard to
dropped it.
watch. Kind of hard to watch. I gotta be honest. Even though like me and Stu kind of already know most of it,
I
it's still
don't
hard to
remember all the
watch.
details, man. I just know it's a real fucked up situation. I'd have to recap. But
I couldn't. I couldn't actually finish the video. I'm like, oh, it's kind of disturbing.
Talking about
But
what?
you know, desktop Xavier Wills of desktop
Yeah.
bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
what is the
let's just
cliff
say
notes here? I mean, he was married to a woman. Were they married? Or
they
is
have
he
kids. I
Wait,
don't
it's a
know.
it's a video about him?
basically no,
Yeah,
he released it, but he basically had two
Released.
children with this woman. She ended up being pretty insane. They split
yeah.
up. She took his kids, lied about him to the police, and then she
Fake.
faked having cancer to get a bunch of
Mhm.
money from GoFundMe.
Whoa.
And all of this finally went public recently. So fuck that bitch.
But she's
Free
not in
my boy
jail.
Xavier. Did she?
She's from my understanding, she hasn't faced any real consequences, but she's still in and out of court, right? You got to go to jail for that shit. You have to
I don't
because,
know. I mean, if you were a man, you would, but
but he still doesn't have his kids. I remember he was visiting them at one point,
yep.
but now apparently he can't because in the video, like you see him, like he's emotional, but he wants to see his kids, and I'm like, how the fuck can he not see his kids? But like you said, if this was a man, there's no way. How can he not see his kids, and you're the one breaking the law? Like what? How does this? Those kids should have been away. They should have grabbed those kids away from her a long time ago. Like that's insane. That's literally insane. But
Wow.
I got to
that's
go get up to speed on that.
that's the world we live in. The whole shit sounds insane. Even him when he first told me the story, I was like, wait, what are we? I couldn't even conceptualize what the fuck was it. It was like a movie. Like what? This is real life, but it's his real life.
Yep.
Anyways,
Are you guys going to be
uh,
at the Olympia?
I
oh
will
yeah,
be.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
Okay.
Is you gonna be there, Chase?
I got a booth.
Oh shit! What's
Yeah.
the booth called? Chase Irons booth?
It'll just be Chase Irons and Friends. It's going to be me,
Oh,
Vigorous Steve, Paul, Kurt Havens,
I like Kurt. I like Kurt.
it'll be
Uh-huh.
Ryan Root, the
Is
guy that do you guys
is
know who he
Dean
is?
St. Martin coming?
I think he might be there. I don't
I
know.
really like those talks that you guys have on Steve's channel.
Stephen
Yeah.
Kurt,
Uh, Wait, have you been in one of those with Dean and Steve and?
not with Dean.
Oh,
He
No.
was
okay,
on with Kurt, right? He was on with Kurt. I thought one with Kurt.
Yeah, he goes on with Kurt.
okay.
They've
Wait,
done
you
some good stuff.
didn't you go on with Kurt, Chase? You did,
I've
right?
been
No?
I've been on Paul's podcast.
Oh,
Heard a lot, but
never mind. I'm thinking about, for some reason, I'm thinking about AJ Sims. That's super random.
oh
Never
yeah,
mind.
yeah.
But yeah. So we'll pull up. We'll definitely pull up on you. And
When you go in, I already have the booth pick. When you go in the entrance, it's to the left. It's like I'm right in the corner, away from everything, so we can talk. And
perfect.
yeah, I'm on the
I'm
corner
gonna.
by the
I'm.
bathroom.
I'm gonna bring you some. Oh, by the bathroom, perfect. 'Cause I'm gonna bring you some
Yeah.
generics. You go right to the bathroom and boop.
Hey, do it.
Yeah, perfect, perfect.
Fair, yeah, I'll do that.
uh, GH for everybody. GH shots. We're having GH shots at the booth, like literal shots. All right,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Cool.
Thanks for coming on, brother.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah, no
guys.
problem.
Cheers,
Anytime.
guys.
Talk
Yes,
to you,
sir.
man.
All right,
All right,
later.